Thank you. Hi, Frank. How are you? Thank you. Thank you, and good evening,
Hey,
everyone.
we're live. Look at that.
Tonight's a night to celebrate America.
Can we
But if
turn the
you don't
volume
mind, it's
down on
night
them for a
to
second?
just express gratitude and thankfulness for all that's been done.
Yeah, mute the
and
Belmont
opportunities that
University
we've been given.
president.
I want to thank the commission for.
No one cares, Robert.
Is it just me hearing it, or is that also live? Oh, there we go.
Wrap it up, Bob.
So, hey, can you turn Bob down for a minute?
All the way.
Yeah, all the way down to 0.
Man, he looks like he's got the Rona already. The way he's
Like,
talking.
this is the moment of Bob's life.
All right. Well, he's not going down. I'm just going to say greetings, everybody. Welcome to a live Hero Speak podcast here for the last presidential debate of 2020. I'm your host, Chris. With me, I have James and Keith, and eventually Mike when he's done dropping his deuce. How you guys doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing outstanding, and I'm glad to see you back in the seat you belong.
Thank you very much. It was very nice to know that the seat was warm while I was gone.
By the way, happy belated birthday to Mr. Keith G.
Yeah, happy birthday, Keith. What you drinking? I'm doing the hard cider tonight.
I'm not.
All right.
Why is Rob still talking?
I don't know. They've been doing this.
Move on.
Dude, this is really the moment of his life.
This is worse than listening to Joe Buck on Monday nights.
Until the last debate, where it became an issue about the last debate, who's controlling the monitoring of the speaking out of turn. All of a sudden, this committee came out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Who's that girl with that satin dress? What is that?
What?
All right, Joe Biden. Yeah.
Jill. Dr. Jill.
Dr. Joe Biden. You know what?
That's Dr. Biden to you.
That is Dr. Biden to me.
That's Miss Jackson to you.
Not this one. Get out of here. Can't even spell doctor.
No, she speaks like 4 languages, man.
But she can't spell doctor in any 4 of them.
But she played doctor.
She played it.
She can't spell doctor in Espanol, English, Turkish, Slavic.
Oh. Yeah,
but she's been on the mask though.
So
yeah,
we're gonna get it coming up.
Yo, it's like Chris Christie. He got hit with the COVID. He's singing a different tune.
He's now apologizing, and you know what? So would what's his name if his Twitter feed, if he wasn't dead, his Twitter feed.
That view looks different from ICU.
If Herman Cain was alive, he would be doing the same thing.
That's right. Now they're just like over his dead body, going, "Yeah, it's great. Don't worry about it."
Politics don't matter as much when you're hanging on to your life.
Right. It doesn't. So I don't know what to expect for this. Just to let everybody know, we all are definitely left leaners. If you haven't watched us before,
I'm not a left leaner. Pause. I am not a left leaner.
James, but we're on
James is middle left.
We're definitely on the different parts of that spectrum. We are not what you would call an echo chamber. We just all think Trump is terrible at his job. I think that's really where we all agree.
Probably the one agreement.
Yeah, that's unanimous.
One mutual agreement.
That's right. You should see us argue on chat. We were arguing over AOC and the New York Amazon deal.
Amazon, yeah.
Deal. Yeah, we definitely aren't agreeing on all of the details of what's upcoming. So it may
Eric,
sound
left side doesn't mean you're left-handed. It means politics. Sorry.
Wow.
That's all right. You got to explain that stuff. It's not natural.
Wow.
He's learning, man. We live in a right-wing type of town. He's learning.
But he wouldn't know what that is, though.
That's right. All right, let's. This is the third Third female interviewer for Trump. Let's see if this one vexes him as much as the other two. Oh, that's right. We haven't seen her in a while, right? Since her
Yeah,
COVID.
she got COVID.
He's pretty hippie.
I just caught what you said. Can't believe Keith, you said pretty hippie. So this is the Associated Press. Who's the moderator?
I don't know. I have to look her up. So, oh, I just missed it on the live
So,
stream.
like, so they need a
Hey,
whole,
Mike, where you
so they
been?
need a whole committee
Yeah, they.
for specifically
Mike, you're on mute.
for these three things that happen every
Mike,
4
you're on
years.
mute.
No.
Mike, you're on mute. Mike, you're on mute. Mike, you're on mute.
So Kristen Welker, NBC News White House correspondent, Kristen Welker. So that's basically it. She's an NBC News correspondent.
I saw that little glass of vodka over there. All right. All right.
We're all set for the night.
I'm not trying to be like fucking Chris Wallace.
That's right. So we're coming into this just what 2 days after Trump walked out of an interview with Leslie Stahl.
Yup, from CBS,
Wait.
60 Minutes.
That's right,
Yeah.
because she dared to ask him tough questions and wouldn't take his crap.
That he hates, but somehow can't stop talking about that interview.
Yeah, he's releasing the photos and the interview like it makes him look good. I don't get it. Is he just that blind to what?
I didn't see
normal
the interview.
people-
Did you guys see the interview? I didn't see it.
I watched the
They haven't
Yeah, I watched some of it.
the snippets, the photos, those kind of stuff. So I can't wait to watch the whole thing. It's only like 30 minutes though. They only
By
got
the way,
30
do you
minutes.
guys see a manual buzzer by her desk where she could like,
I thought it was automatically turned off while they're in their 2 minutes, and otherwise they're on.
Oh, that's whack.
could-
Nah, that's whack.
It should
We
be
won't
sent-
have the fun of
I want to see it like
wrong.
pressure whammy, pressure whammy.
Now you should be able to give that to each opponent, like they can turn each other off. They have
That's for
three
amateur DJ.
whammies, and they
Yeah.
can turn each
No
other
whammies,
off.
no whammies. Is it they having technical difficulty because no one's coming out?
No, there's 3 minutes. There's a little countdown at the bottom.
So the introduction was premature. Like
Yeah,
pretty
Supposed to sit
premature.
there.
She's getting her
minutes?
stuff out. She's spreading.
Like they kind of blew their load right there a little early.
Yeah, so she
Hey.
still had a little bit more time to talk.
No, they're being
You gotta give a
generous
little
to us.
history about the committee and C-SPAN and whatnot, and
They're being generous to us. They're giving us time to chat before it starts.
you pay attention to this stuff. You gotta learn.
That's right. Hey, my kids are all know, but they're a little bit older, so
I want a book report tonight.
oh, book report.
I'm joking. Tomorrow.
So
All right,
Mike,
Saturday.
are you hyped, Mike? Are you excited for this grand
It's
event?
Saturday.
This train wreck? Oh, yes.
I see a lot of people are like, I already voted. I don't even need to watch.
No, I'm waiting for
Which-
November 3rd to vote.
Yeah. Oh, in case you want to change your mind, I know you want to be open.
The undecided the voter that this tonight is gonna finally put me where I want to be. I want questions answered.
That's right. That's right.
Tonight is a night.
You know, he can still win me over with a
Eric?
good free college package.
Or no taxes package. I don't want to pay taxes ever. Like the guys from Armageddon, we're shooting freaking asteroids and collecting. I want to be in that crew. I can engineer that shit. I don't want to
Hey.
pay any taxes ever.
Hey, congratulations to NASA for landing on an asteroid.
Yeah, that seemed like that was pretty rock star.
That's future stuff, man. They're going to be mining that.
Yep.
precious
Yes,
metals.
congratulations on the fact that you got defunded by the government and still were able to do that without Tesla.
Right? What's apparently Tesla is launching on Halloween? Not Tesla. Sorry, SpaceX. Same
SpaceX.
difference.
I've got
SpaceX.
some SpaceX stock too. It was a good bet I made.
Nice, nice. Oh,
Mm.
hey, weird news. I just noticed my own name. Why is there a Die Hard movie, and when did they shoot this?
Yeah,
you
I
guys
saw
see
that
this?
earlier. Like, I'm confused. Like,
I
is
thought
that
it was just a
real?
dumb commercial, but apparently it's an actual movie.
Is
Like,
it
is it a
greenlit
short?
for real? Is it really greenlit?
Is it a short film or something? All right, I gotta look it up
Is it
again.
a Quibi thing? And then they cancel it because
Oh,
I'm sorry.
rip Quibi.
'cause
I was right.
He
I was
called
right.
it. I called it. Everybody but Mike called it.
No, I said they were going to go out of business too.
Yeah,
Oh hell yeah! They have nobody's watching it.
I didn't call it either way. I thought that I thought they would skate through, but they really came out at a bad time. It was just a bad time. They couldn't. have
Oh, no. This shit's just
But
a
also
series.
the content. The content wasn't that good.
This is just a series of commercials.
Dude, it would have been much better for a more mobile population. Cats weren't mobile.
It's just a series of Die Hard commercials for the Die Hard batteries. So this is BS. Die Hard 2020 is actually a commercial for Die Hard, the iconic.
Hey, are we
battery
ignoring the
brand.
live chat? I got a buddy of mine who's texting me. Are we ignoring the live chat?
Good
I haven't
evening
gotten there
from
yet.
Belmont University
where's
in
the
Nashville,
live chat?
Tennessee. I'm Kristen Welker of NBC News, and I welcome you to the final 2020 presidential debate between President Donald J. Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. Tonight's debate is sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates. It is conducted under
Apologies to our subscribers who are actually watching us right now and we're ignoring.
Security advisor. The audience here in the hall has promised to remain silent. No cheers.
I say,
boos,
hey,
or other
Paige, she's on the
interruptions,
live chat.
except right now,
Yeah, there's a bunch of
as we
people
welcome
texting me now. I just
former
realized.
Vice President Joe Biden and President Donald J. Trump.
Oh, look how happy they look.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Oh, look at him. He is depressed.
And I do want to say a very good evening to both of you. This debate will cover 6 major topics. At the beginning of each section, each candidate will
Hi,
have 2
YouTube
minutes
commenters,
uninterrupted
by the way.
to answer my first
Yeah,
question.
I
The
got a
debate
text.
commission will then turn on their microphone only when it is their turn
All
to
right,
answer.
let's hear it.
And the
Let's
commission
Won't
will
let me
turn it
change
off
the
exactly
cover
when the 2
photo.
minutes have
Come on.
expired. After that, both
Really hate
microphones
YouTube.
will remain on. But on behalf of the voters, I'm going to ask you to please speak one at a
Oh,
time. The goal
she's
is
just
for you to
asking,
hear each other
is there no
and for
mute?
the American people
Was I
to hear
misinformed?
every word of what you both have to say. And so with that, if you're ready, let's start. And we will begin with the fight against the coronavirus. President Trump, the first question is for you. The country is heading into a dangerous new phase. More than 40,000 Americans are in the hospital tonight with COVID, including record numbers here in Tennessee. And since the two of you last shared a stage, 16,000 Americans have died from COVID. So please be specific.
specific.
How would you lead the country during this next stage of the coronavirus crisis? 2 minutes, uninterrupted.
So, as you know,
2.2
2.2 million people modeled out were expected to die. We closed up the greatest economy in the world in order to fight this horrible disease that came from China. It's a worldwide pandemic. It's all over the world. You see the spikes in Europe and many other places right now. If you notice, the mortality rate is down 85%. The excess mortality rate is way down and much lower than almost any other country. And we're fighting it, and we're fighting it hard. There is a spike. There was a spike in Florida.
it's now
and It's now
gone.
gone. There was a very big spike in Texas. It's now gone. There was a very big spike in Arizona. It's now gone. And there are some spikes and surges in other places. They will soon be gone.
No, we
have a
don't. We
vaccine
don't.
that's coming.
Oh, he's
It's
so much
ready.
trash.
It's going to be announced within
Where are
weeks,
those
and it's
specifics
going to
she
be
asked for?
delivered. We have Operation Warp Speed, which is the military is
Whoa.
going to distribute the vaccine. I can tell you from personal experience that I was in the hospital. I had it. and I got better. And I will tell you that I had something that they gave me, a therapeutic, I guess they would call it. Some
Oh,
people say
whoa.
it's a
That's a
cure.
big.
I was in for a
That's
short
a
That's why
leap.
time.
some
I got
people
better
would say
very
it.
fast,
Not
or I
him.
wouldn't be here
Not him.
tonight.
Some
And
people.
now they say I'm immune. Whether it's 4 months or a lifetime, nobody's been able to say
What?
that. But I'm immune.
Immune,
More
he's
and more people
Wolverine.
are, getting better. We have a problem that's a worldwide problem. This is a worldwide problem. But I've been congratulated by the heads of many countries on what we've been able to do.
North Korea
If
called
the-
me and
if you-
said,
if you
"Good
take a
job."
look at what we've done in terms of goggles and masks and gowns and everything else, and in particular ventilators, we're now making ventilators.
No, we're not.
all
We're
over
not
the
making
world,
shit.
Thousands and thousands a month, distributing them all over the world.
Wow.
It will go away, and as I say, we're
Dude, we
rounding
never
the turn,
dropped.
We're rounding the corner.
We went
It's
like
going
this.
away.
Okay, former Vice President Biden, to you, how would you lead the
All right, this is a
country
very
out of
important
this
question.
crisis?
Let's
You
go,
have 2
old
minutes
man.
uninterrupted.
Grandpa.
220,000 Americans dead. You hear nothing else I say tonight. Hear this.
Right at the camera.
Anyone who's responsible for not taking control, in fact, not saying I take no responsibility in this.
He's looking at the camera.
Anyone who's
Beautiful.
responsible for that many deaths
Talking to the
should not
people.
remain as President of the United States of America. We're in a situation where there are 1,000
Yo,
deaths
Biden's an
a
old
day
pro, yo.
now, 1,000 deaths a day. And there are over 70,000 new cases per day. Compared to what's going on in Europe, as the New England Medical Journal said, they're starting from a very low rate. We're starting from a very high rate. The expectation is we'll have another 200,000 Americans dead between now and the end of the year. If we just wore these masks, the president's own advisors have told him, we could save 100,000 lives. And we're in a circumstance where the president thus far and still has no plan, no comprehensive plan. What I would do is make sure we have everyone encouraged to wear a
Brooksy.
mask all the time.
Brooks.
I would make sure we move in the direction of rapid testing, investing in rapid testing. I would make sure that we set up national standards as to how to open up schools,
This
and
problem's
open
a
up businesses
loser.
so they can be safe, and give them the wherewithal, the financial resources to be able to do that. We're in a situation now where the New England Medical Journal, one of the most serious journals in the whole world, said for the first time ever that the way this president has responded to this crisis has been absolutely tragic. And so, folks, I will take care of this. I will end this. I will make sure we have a plan.
That's simple.
President Trump, I'd like to follow up with you in your comments. You talked about taking a therapeutic. I assume you're referencing Regeneron. You also said a vaccine will be coming within weeks.
Oh, here we go.
Is that a guarantee?
No, it's
is
not a
this-
guarantee, but it will be by the
No,
end of the year.
no,
But I think
no.
it
End
is
of the
a
year
business
now.
of 2 companies, I think within a matter of weeks.
He's such
and it will
a
be
good tap
distributed very
dancer.
quickly.
Can you tell us which companies?
Johnson & Johnson is doing very well. Moderna is doing
Oh,
very
no,
well.
no,
Pfizer's
no.
doing
Pfizer
very
probably
well.
something
We
totally
have
different.
numerous others.
Yeah,
I gotta be careful what I say.
Pfizer
We're
doesn't sound like
working
Pfizer's
closely
doing
with
very
other
well.
countries, in particular Europe.
Like
Let me follow up with
Ms.
you.
Brilton.
Oh,
I'll be
she's gonna
quiet
tell
on
him,
this.
hold on,
You
hold
have
on.
said a vaccine is coming soon within weeks now. Your own officials say it could take well into 2021 at the earliest for enough Americans to get vaccinated. And even then, they say the country will be wearing masks and distancing into 2022. Is your timeline realistic?
No, I think my timeline is going to be more accurate. I don't know that they're counting on the military the way I do, but we have our generals lined up, one in particular that's
Do generals know
head of
anything about
logistics.
medical? Eric,
This is
great
a
question.
really easy distribution for him. He's ready to go as soon as we have the vaccine. And
The
we
general
expect to have
does.
100 million vials. As soon as we have the vaccine, he's ready to go.
Vice President Biden, your reaction, and just 40% of Americans say they would definitely agree to take a coronavirus vaccine if it was approved by the government. What steps would you take to give Americans
By winning the
confidence
election.
in a vaccine if it were approved?
Make sure it's totally
By
transparent.
not being Trump.
Have the scientists of the world see it, know it, look at it, go through all the processes. And by the way, this is the same fellow who told you this is going to end by Easter last time. This is the same fellow who told
Let's
you
go,
that,
Biden.
don't worry,
Thanos
we're going to end
mode.
this by the summer. We're about to go into a dark winter, and he has
Oh,
no
he's got
clear
some coffee in
plan
his
and
blood
no
right now. He looks
prospect
different.
that there's going to be a vaccine available.
I didn't go in for the
majority of
kill.
people before
Yeah.
You
I
are.
think he knows this is it, man. This is it. End fucking game.
We're opening up our country. We've learned and studied and understand the disease, which we didn't at the beginning.
I
When
just need
closed
Biden not
and
to talk
banned
too much,
China
though.
from coming in heavily infected, and then ultimately,
Ultimately, Europe
China
Europe was the
a
fucking
gateway.
carrier
Months
to
later,
us.
he was
It
saying
wasn't
I was
China.
xenophobic. I did it too soon. Now he's saying, "Oh, I should have,
Yeah,
moved quicker."
we got the
Well,
virus
he
from
didn't
Europe.
move
The
quicker.
Europe
He was
strain.
Wait,
months
did he
behind
just
me.
say Biden was
Many
months
months
behind
behind
him?
me.
Biden isn't
He's the
president.
president.
He ran
He
the
did say
H1N1,
that.
Wasn't
N1,
anything but
swine flu,
senator.
and it was a total disaster. Far less lethal, but it was a total
Biden
disaster.
Biden is a
Had
citizen.
this kind of numbers, 700,000 people would be dead right now. But it was a far less lethal disease. Look, his own person who ran that for him, who, as you know, was his chief of staff, said
Let's bring out
it
some
was
Fauci comments.
catastrophic. It was horrible. We didn't know what we were doing. Now he comes up and he tells us how to do this. Also, everything that he said about the way every single move that he said we should make, that's what we've done. We've done all of it. But he was way behind us.
Vice President Biden, your response.
My response is he is xenophobic, but not because he shut down access
Very
from China.
steady
It was late
xenophobic.
after 40 countries had already done that. In addition to that, what he did, he made sure that we had 44 people that were in there in China trying to get to Wuhan to determine what exactly the source was. What did the president say in January? He said, no, he said, he's being transparent. The president of China is being transparent. We owe him a debt of gratitude. We have to thank him. And then what happened was we started talking about using the Defense Act to make sure we go out and get whatever is needed out there to protect people. And again, I go back to this. He had nothing. He did virtually nothing. And
He needs to
then
talk
he gets out of
less.
the hospital and
Hold on.
talks
Get to the
about,
point.
"We're-
You got
this
to
is
get
over.
out of the
Don't
hospital
worry.
and what?
Yeah.
It's all
Say
be
less,
over
Biden.
soon."
Say less.
Come on. There's not another serious scientist in the world who thinks it's going to be over soon.
President Trump, your reaction?
Say over soon. I say we're learning to live with it. We have no choice. We can't lock ourselves up in a basement like Joe does. He has the ability to lock himself up.
Yeah,
He's obviously
Whoa.
made a lot of money someplace.
Did you
but
see
he
that
You're
look?
swing it back to the whole China deal.
People can't do that. By the way, I, as the president,
he's
could never
setting
do
up
that. I'd
the-
love to put myself
him
in a
and Bo
basement or a
corruption.
beautiful room in the White House.
Yeah, he's setting
and
up
go
for
away
that.
for a year and a
Meanwhile,
half until it disappears. I can't do that. And Kirsten, every meeting I had, and I'd meet a lot of families, including Gold Star families and military families. Every meeting I had, and I had to meet them. I had to.
He
It
still
would be
has to
horrible
talk
have
directly
canceled
to
everything.
the
And I said,
moderator.
"You
He
know,
doesn't talk to the
this is
camera.
dangerous, and you catch it." And
Because he
I taught it.
can't.
I learned a lot. Great doctors, great hospitals, and now I recovered. 99.9 of young people recover. 99% of people recover. We have to recover. We can't close up our nation. We have to open our schools.
220,000 out of 8 million is
or you're not going to have a nation.
99.9%.
And of course, the CDC has
I don't know.
said
I'm not
that
a math guy.
can
I take a
get
lot of
sick
math
with
classes.
COVID-19 and can pass it.
No.
Vice President Biden, I want to talk broadly about strategy, though. You have
I respond to that.
More like
30 seconds,
97%.
please, and then I have a
Number.
question.
No, number one.
Yeah, it's
He
not right.
says
It's not
that
99.
we're learning to live with it. People are learning to die with it. You folks home
Oh,
have
it's
an
the same-
empty chair at the
he said
kitchen
that
table
last
this
time.
morning.
He did.
You
He
have
did.
a
He
man or
did.
wife going to bed
But
tonight,
it
and
works.
reaching over to try to touch their out of habit where their wife or husband is gone. Learning to live with it. Come on. We're dying.
He wants
with
to say
it
something.
because he's never said. You said it's dangerous. When's the last time? Is it really dangerous still? Are we dangerous? You tell the people it's dangerous now. What should they do about the danger? And you say,
There it
"No
is.
responsibility."
Let me talk
All right,
about
mute
I
time.
take
Mute
full
time.
responsibility.
Goddamn Vegas. Come on,
It's not my
Vegas.
fault that he came here. It's China's fault.
Yeah, I
And
lost
you know
money.
What? It's not
Fuck.
Joe's fault that he came here either. It's China's fault. They kept it from going into the
Don't
rest
know that
of China
word.
for the most part.
Look what
but
Vegas
they
odds
didn't
are.
keep it from
How
coming
many
out to the
mutes?
world, including Europe and ourselves.
Vice President Biden.
FanDuel. Go to
When we
FanDuel.com.
knew it was coming, when it hit, what happened? What did the president say? He said, "Don't worry, it's going to go away. Be gone by Easter. Don't worry, the warm weather. Don't worry, maybe inject bleach." He said he was kidding when he said that, but a lot of people thought it was serious. A whole range of things the president has said. Even today, he thinks we are in control. We're
Oh,
about to
oh,
lose
he wanted to.
200,000 more people.
President Trump.
Look, perhaps just to finish this,
Oh, of course. There's the joke.
when I closed, he said I shouldn't have closed. And that went on for months. Nancy Pelosi said the same thing. She was dancing on the streets in Chinatown in San Francisco. But when I closed, he said, This is a terrible thing. You're xenophobic. I think he called me racist even.
Because you're against
And
the certain
because I was
species of people.
closing it to China. Now he says I should have closed it earlier.
Class of
It
people.
just, Joe, it doesn't work.
I didn't say either of
Oh,
those things.
oh,
You didn't say
certainly
it
now
should
did.
we're
be
getting a little bit.
mercy,
Certainly
and
did.
I talked about his xenophobia in a different context. It wasn't about closing the border to Chinese coming to the United States.
All right, I want to talk about both of your different strategies. to
Wait,
deal
wait,
with-
wait.
Thought I
You
shouldn't have
time.
closed the border.
Well, let's-
That's obvious.
Is that, do you want to respond to that quickly?
No.
It's like no.
Let's talk about your different strategies toward dealing with this. Mr. Vice President, you suggested you would support new shutdowns if scientists recommended it. What do you say to Americans who are fearful that the cost of shutdowns, the impact on the economy, the higher rates of hunger, depression, domestic and substance abuse outweighs the risk of exposure to the virus?
What I would say is I'm going to shut down the virus, not the country. It's his ineptitude that caused the country to have to shut down in large part. Why businesses have gone under, why schools are closed, why so many people have lost their living. and
Don't look
why
at
they're
the screen,
concerned.
Eric.
Those other concerns are real. That's why he should have been, instead of in a sand trap in his golf course, he should have been negotiating with Nancy Pelosi and the rest of the Democrats and Republicans about what to do about the acts they were passing for billions of dollars to make sure people had the capacity.
But you haven't ruled out more shutdowns.
Well, no, I'm not shutting down the name, but
Come on, Joe.
you need standards.
Smoking Joe
Standard is if you
Frazier is
have a
fighting
commercial
Ali.
rate in the
Come on, come
community
on.
That's above a certain level. Everybody says, slow up, more social distancing.
See, the
Do
problem
not
with this
open
format is he has
bars
to
and
talk
do
a
not
lot
open
more. He
gymnasiums.
doesn't have to
Do
just
not
let
open until you
Trump
get
take
this
Yeah,
under
I know.
control.
This is what I was,
Exactly.
I was afraid of.
But when you do
I don't
open,
want him to
give
talk
the
too
people
much.
the capacity to be able to open and have the capacity to do it safely. For example,
Random
schools.
conversation,
Schools,
school.
they need a lot of
For
money.
example,
They need
truck
to
lift
deal with
drivers.
ventilation systems. They need to deal with smaller
They need
classes.
lunch- they need
more
lunch
teachers, more
boxes,
pods.
aluminum,
And
not
he
lead.
refused to support that money, or at least up to now.
Let's talk about schools. President
Well,
Trump,
I
you,
think we have to respond, if I might.
please, and then I have a follow-up.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. Look, all he does is talk about shutdowns, but forget about him. His Democrat.
There we
governors
go.
all in New York. You look
Okay,
at what's going on
okay,
in
now let's get
California, You
busy.
look at Pennsylvania, North Carolina. Democrats
Like
all,
Cuomo?
they're shut down so tight,
like Cuomo.
and they're dying. They're dying. And he supports all
Cuomo's
these
the
people.
best governor
All
during
he
the
talks about is
epidemic.
shutdowns. No, we're not going to shut down, and we have to open our schools. And it's like, as an example, I have a young son. He also tested
The
positive.
youngest one.
By the time
one
I
that-
spoke
the
to the
one that's gonna
doctor
play
the
for the
second
Knicks.
time, he was fine. It just one.
Yeah,
So
no,
he
it's-
doesn't care that his kid got
I guess
sick.
it's their immune system.
That's
Let
what
me
it
follow
says
up
to
You're
with
gonna
me.
play for the New
President
York
Trump.
Knicks.
You've demanded schools open in person and insist they can do it safely. But just yesterday, Boston became the latest city to move its
We're
public
about to
school
throw up
system
our
entirely
scoreboard.
online after
What do you
a
think the score is
coronavirus
right
spike.
now?
What is your message to parents who
Hard
worry
to
tell.
that
It's like
sending
all
their
over the
children to
place.
school will endanger not
I
only
don't-
their kids
Feels-
but also
I don't
their
think
Zero,
anybody's
zero.
scored
I wanna
anything
open the
yet.
schools. The
Let me ask the
transmittal
chat.
rate to the teachers is very small, but I want to open the
Trump
schools.
ain't been
We
doing
have to
nothing but
open our country.
lying, so
We're not
like
gonna
I
have a
can't
country.
really score him.
You can't do
Yeah,
this.
this is
We
different.
can't
This is
keep
like a
this
whole.
country
It's not
closed.
even a
This is
debate anymore. It's just
massive
like talking.
country with a
Like the-
massive
and
economy.
he's just like
People are
spouting,
losing
like
their
he's just
jobs.
spouting
They're
stuff.
committing
like,
suicide. There's
back-
depression, alcohol, drugs at a level that nobody's ever seen before. There's
Where'd you
abuse,
get that from, Trump?
tremendous
Like he's
abuse.
talking stuff
We
like
have
it's
to open
fact.
our country. You know, I've said it often.
Yeah,
the cure
unfortunately,
cannot be
I've
worse than the problem
there's
itself.
a thing
That's
like
what's happening.
usually he
And
hears
he wants to
a
close down. He'll
a
close
little
down the
tidbit
country
and he
if
just
one
espouses
person
like
in
it's
our-
fact,
in our
but
massive bureaucracy
just-
says we should close it down.
He's just
Vice
spouting
President
out
Biden,
random
Simply
stuff.
not
Like,
true.
like
Mhm.
We ought to be
Thank
able to
you,
open children at
Joe.
the same
Get
time.
harder.
We ought to be able to safely open,
Switch.
but would they need resources to open?
talk to the camera,
You
Joe.
need to be able to, for example, if you're going to open a business,
Talk to the
have
camera,
social
Joe.
distancing
Talk to
within the
me.
business. You need
Talk
to
to
have,
me.
if you have a
Look at
restaurant,
us,
you
look
need
at
to have
us.
plexiglass
Us.
dividers so people cannot infect one another. You need to be in a position where you can take
You were doing good.
testing rapidly.
Well, whoever
and know
prepped
whether a
Trump,
person is in fact infected.
he's
You need to be
holding
able
so
to trace.
far.
You
He's
need to be able to
holding.
provide
Yes, he's not
all
talking
the
over him.
resources that are needed to
No,
do this.
yeah.
And that
He's
is
got a
not
very
in-
low
But Trump
bar.
is good
right
at
now.
counterpoint.
saying that
Trump is good at counterpunches.
we're going to make sure that we can open safely. And by the
He's
way,
gonna wait
all
till
your
Joe
teachers out
talks,
there,
and he-
not that many of you are going to die, so don't worry about it. So don't worry about it.
Yeah, but
Come on.
only in
President Trump,
generic
let me
terms.
follow
He
up
doesn't
with
have
a
any
counterpunch,
details.
counterpunch coming
You
up.
go and look at what's happened to New York. It's a ghost town. It's a ghost town. And when you talk about plexiglass, these are restaurants that are dying. These are businesses with no money. Putting up plexiglass is unbelievably expensive, and it's
Wait,
not
wait.
the
Remember we went
answer.
to,
You're
the
gonna sit there
barber
in a
shop, they had the
cubicle wrapped
plexiglass.
around with plastic It's
The little
these are
plastic
businesses
thing
that are
between the
dying, Joe.
people
You
that cut
can't
their
do
hair.
that to people. You just can't. Take a look at New York and what's happened to my wonderful city for
James,
so many
what's
years.
happened
I
to New
loved
York? Is
was
it awful?
vibrant. It's
New York is
dying.
fine.
Nobody's
Ah, it's
leaving
great.
New
New York
I mean,
dead.
it's dead.
Vice President
New
Biden.
York is
It's
done
York's
dead
turning-
because
dead.
of
turning
COVID.
the curve down in terms of the number of people dying. And I don't look at this in terms of the way he does.
Governor Cuomo
Those
took
states
care of
are
it.
red states.
Governor
All the United
Cuomo.
States. And look at the states that are having such
No,
a
no.
spike in
That was a nice little
coronavirus.
unifying
They're the
part
red states.
by Biden.
Like,
The
say what you
states in the
want to say.
Midwest, the
Governor
states in the
Cuomo
upper
took care of that
Midwest. That's
shit.
where the spike
He
is
definitely
occurring
did.
significantly. But they're all Americans. They're all Americans. And what we have to do is say, wear these masks, number one. Make sure we get the help that the businesses need that has money's already been passed to do that. It's been out there since the beginning of the summer, and nothing's happened.
President, New York has lost more than 40,000.
We were the
people,
epicenter from the
11,000 people in
beginning.
nursing homes.
President Trump, what
When you
about-
say
effer.
spike, take a look at what's happening
Yeah, we got
in
control of it.
Pennsylvania,
It went.
where they've had it closed. Take a look at what's happening with your friend in Michigan, where her husband's the only one allowed to do
Wait,
anything.
what?
It's been like
What
a
is-
prison. Now it was just ruled unconstitutional. Take a look at North Carolina. They're having spikes, and they've been closed.
Oh,
and
he's
they're
he
getting
hating swing
killed
states, by the way.
financially. We
Swing
can't
states.
let that happen, Joe. You can't let that happen. We have to open up.
Swing
And we
states.
understand the
Except
disease.
look at
We have to
Florida.
protect
Florida
our
was
seniors.
always
We have to
open, and it's
protect
getting
our
worse.
elderly.
Texas.
We have to
Yo,
protect
Florida and Texas
especially
lead the
seniors with
entire
heart
fucking
problems
country
and
on
diabetes
deaths
problems. And
related
we will
to COVID.
protect them. We have the best testing in the world by far. That's why we have
What's
so
the
many cases.
Republican
Let me follow up with you
governors?
before we move on to our next section. President Trump, this week you called Dr. Anthony
Come
Fauci, the
on,
nation's
Miss
best-known
whatever your
infectious
name
disease
is.
expert, quote, a disaster. You described him and other medical experts as, quote, idiots. If you're not listening to them, who are you listening to as you
Let me,
fight this?
I'm listening to all of them, including
Well, I
Anthony.
want
I get
Rachel
along very well
Maddow.
with Anthony, but he did say, don't wear masks. He did say, as you know,
With a bunch
this
of-
is not going to
and
be a
with the-
problem. I think he's a Democrat, but that's okay. He said, this is not going to be a problem. We are not going to have a problem at all. When Joe says that, I said, Anthony Fauci said, and others, and many others, and I'm not knocking him a lot. Nobody knew. Look, nobody knew what this thing was. Nobody knew where it was coming from, what it was. We've learned a lot. But Anthony said, don't wear masks. Now he wants to wear masks. Anthony also said, if you look back, exact words, here's his exact words. This is no problem. This is going to go away soon. So he's allowed to make mistakes. He
And it don't
happens to be a
Fauci.
good person.
Vice President Biden, your response quickly, and then we're going to move on to the next section.
My response is that think about what the president knew in January and
Yes.
didn't tell the American people. He was told this was a serious
That's one
virus
point.
that spread in the air, and it was much worse than the flu. He went on record and said to one of your colleagues, recorded, that in fact he knew how dangerous it was, but he didn't want to tell us. He didn't want to tell us because he didn't want us to panic. He didn't want us, Americans don't panic. He panicked. But guess what? In the meantime, we found out in the New York Times the other day that, in fact, his folks went to Wall Street and said this is a
I
really
think that's
dangerous
Joe's
thing.
first point.
And a memo out of that meeting,
Are their
not
mics
from
off?
his administration, but from some of the brokers, said sell short because we got to get moving. It's a dangerous problem.
Well, this is
I'm going
one
to give
I-
you
this
30
is one I
seconds to
haven't heard.
respond, and then we're
The
going
Wall
to
Street
move
one,
on.
I don't know. Somebody went to Wall Street. You're the one that takes all the money from Wall Street. I don't take it.
Stop it.
You have raised
Stop
a
it.
lot of money, tremendous amounts of money. And every time you raise money, deals are made, Joe. I could raise so much more money. As president and as somebody that knows most of those people, I could call the
No,
heads
you
of
can't.
Wall Street.
That's
the
You lost
biggest
illegal.
that power.
company
You
in
lost that
America.
power. Nobody
I would
believes in you
blow
anymore.
away every
The
record. I don't
Dow
want to do
does
that
not
because
move
it
to
puts me in
your
a bad
fucking.
position. And then you bring
Where's
up Wall Street.
Bloomberg?
You shouldn't be
Oh,
bringing up Wall
man.
Street because you're the one that takes the money from Wall Street, not me.
My average-
I could blow away your records that like you wouldn't believe. We don't need money. We have plenty of money. In fact,
Are they talking-
we
it's
beat
talking about
Hillary Clinton
campaign
with
money
a
right
tiny
now?
fraction of the money
This
that
is
she
a
was able
small
All right, gentlemen,
penis
we're gonna
drinking
move on.
conversation.
Average
We're gonna
contribution,
Yeah, it was a
$43.
very
All
like.
right, we're
Are they
going to move
talking
on to
about
our
that
next
shit
section,
on,
which is
conversation?
national security.
Yeah.
And I do want to start with the security of our elections and some breaking news from overnight. Just last night, top intelligence officials confirmed again that both Russia and Iran are working to influence this election. Both countries have obtained U.S. voter registration information,
so
these officials
sharp
say,
and
and Iran
even.
sent intimidating messages to Florida voters. This question goes to you, Mr. Vice President. What would you do to put an end to this threat? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
I made it clear, and I ask everyone else to take the pledge. I made it clear that any country, no matter who it is, that interferes in American elections will pay a price. they will pay a price. And it's been overwhelmingly clear this election, I won't even get into the last one, this election, that Russia has been involved, China has been involved to some degree,
Iran.
and now we learn that Iran is involved. They will pay a price if I'm elected. They're interfering with American sovereignty.
Give me the
That's
boilerplate
what's
Tom.
going
Yeah,
on right now.
yeah,
They're
yeah,
interfering with
yeah.
American sovereignty.
Wah, wah,
To
wah.
the best of my knowledge, I don't think the president said anything to Putin about it. I don't think he's talking to him a lot. I don't think he said a word. I don't know why he hadn't said a word to Putin about it. And I don't know what he has recently said, if anything, to the Iranians. My guess is he'd probably be more outspoken with regard to the Iranians. But the point is this, folks. We are in a situation where we have foreign countries trying to interfere in the outcome of our election. His own national security advisor told him that what is happening
What the
with his
fuck am I looking at?
Well, I will.
You're watching
His buddy,
Mike
Rudy
play with
Giuliani,
his
he's being
Facebook.
used as a Russian
Yeah,
pawn.
Mike and
He's being
his
fed
Trump
information
supporters.
that is Russian, that is not true. And then what
That
happens?
wasn't a good
Nothing
look for
happens.
Joe.
And
He
then
forgot
you
a
find
name.
out that everything that's going on here about Russia is wanting to make sure that
Yeah.
I do not
Come on,
get
Joe.
Lot.
the President of the United
Get it
States because
together.
They know I know them, and they know me. I don't understand why this president is unwilling to take on Putin when he's actually paying bounties to kill American soldiers
bring it up,
in
bring it up.
Afghanistan, when he's engaged in activities that are trying to destabilize all of NATO. I don't know why he doesn't do it, but it's worth asking
Okay,
the question.
that's a
Why
good.
isn't that being done? Any country that interferes with us will, in fact, pay a price because they're
Yep,
affecting
that's a
our
good.
sovereignty.
Good points. Good points there at
President
the
Trump,
end.
same question to you.
to
Let me
respond.
let me ask
Any
the
idea
question.
on
We're
a
gonna have
score
2
right
minutes
now?
to respond.
So we
For
can put
two
up the
elections in
scoreboard?
a row now, there has been substantial interference
Best
from
guess,
foreign
guys.
adversaries. What would you do in your next term
I'm-
to put an end to this? 2 minutes
Well,
uninterrupted.
let me
I'm only
respond
at
to the first part
1-0,
as
Joe. I don't
answered.
think
Joe
there've
got
been that
$3.5
many
million
hits.
from
1-0,
Russia,
dude. I got
and it
3-1.
came through Putin
3-1.
because he was very
Joe?
friendly
3-1.
with the former mayor of Moscow, and it was the mayor of Moscow's wife. And you got $3.5 million. Your family got $3.5 million, and someday
Okay, he's got to bring up that China bank
You
account.
gotta bring it up, the China, man. And Ivanka Trump. And
Taxes.
Ivanka Trump.
Tax paying more money to more money in taxes to China.
John,
All of that.
who was John Ratcliffe, who's fantastic. DNI.
Rob,
he
you're gonna
said
have to wait.
the one thing that's common to both of them, they both want you to lose, because there has been nobody tougher to Russia. Between the sanctions, nobody tougher than me on Russia.
You know, the toughest guy in
Between
Russia was fucking
sanctions,
Ronald Reagan. I hate to say
all
that
of
shit.
what I've
It
done
was
with NATO,
Ronald
I've
Reagan.
got the
Right?
NATO countries to put up an extra 130 billion, going to 420 billion dollars a year. That's to guard against Russia. I sold, while he was selling pillows and sheets, I sold.
While he was selling pillows and sheets, where did that even come
The
from?
pillow guy? Wasn't that your...
Russia,
Did he
Donald
endorse you?
And I'll tell you, they
And
were
John
so
Jr.
bad,
was
they
selling
took over
hotels
the
to Iran at the same
submarine
time.
port. You remember that very well. During your
Stormy
term,
Daniels
during
giving him
you
pillows and
Barack
sheets.
Obama, they took over a big part of what should have been Ukraine. You handed it to them, but you were getting a lot of money from Russia. They were paying you a lot of money, and they probably still are.
Joe
But
really
now,
needs to
with
come
what came out today,
say
Come on,
it's
Joe.
even worse.
Dude,
Joe.
you gotta
All
go
of the
full
emails,
fucking
Joe.
Megatron must be
emails of
stopped
the
no
kind
matter
of
what.
money that you were
Mode.
raking in, you and your
Joe
family.
looked like he wants to
And Joe,
cry.
you
He
were
wants
vice
to. He wants
president
to.
when some of this was happening.
He wants to talk
And it
so
should have never
bad.
happened. And
Let's
I
do
think
it.
you
Do
owe an
it.
Okay,
explanation to the American people. Why is it? Somebody just had a
He's
news
looking at the
conference a
camera.
little
They
while
don't even
ago.
know
He
him
was
anymore.
essentially supposed to work with you
Alright.
and your family.
You know what?
But what he said was damning. And regardless of me, I think you have to clean it up and talk to the American people. Maybe you can do it right now.
Vice President Biden, you may respond. 30
be straight
seconds.
here.
And then I do want to follow up on the election security.
I have not taken a penny from any foreign source ever in my life. We learned that this president paid 50 times the tax
there
in
we
China,
go.
has a secret
Yep.
bank account with China,
This guy's saving
does
force.
business in China, and in fact is talking about me taking money. I have
Talk
not
about
taken a
his
single penny
Trump-
from any country
Trump Towers elsewhere.
whatsoever, ever. Number one. Number two.
Come on, Joe.
This is
You
a
needed to
president-
spend
I
more
have
time on
released
that.
all of my tax returns, 22 years. Go look at them. 22 years of my tax return. You have not released a single solitary year of your tax return.
Oh, that's a good
What are
one.
you hiding?
Nah, that's
Why
good.
are you
Yes.
unwilling?
Ask him.
Foreign countries
Put him
are
on the
paying you
defensive.
A lot.
Oh.
Russia's paying you a lot. China's paying a lot.
You know what? I did not see
All
this.
your businesses all around.
All
the
right,
country.
Biden. That's right. Have some
China's
nuts.
building a new road,
Yes.
a golf course you have overseas.
You're looking for the
What's
headshot.
going on
He got
here?
the
Why-
liver
release your
shot.
tax
Okay,
returns,
okay,
stop
okay. I want to
talking
hear
about
his
corruption.
response.
President Trump, your response.
First of all, I
I called my accountant.
I'm going to release
called
them
my
as soon as we
accountant.
can. I want to do it, and it'll show how
And they pick up the
successful,
phone
how
and
great
said,
this
"You phone, who
company
this?"
is. But much more importantly than that, people were saying $750. I asked them a week ago. I said, "What did I pay?" They said, "Sir, you
prepaid?
tens of millions of
That's
dollars.
my
I prepaid
accountant,
my
what I-
tax. Tens over the last number of years, tens of millions of dollars I prepaid." Because at some point they think it's an estimate, they think I may have to pay tax, so I already prepaid it. Nobody told me that.
Did your accountant
Nobody
tell you
told
when
you
you
that.
could
Like a
release them?
sprint
And it
prepaid
wasn't
plan.
written whenever they
That
wrote
was
this. They keep
good.
talking about
Holy shit.
$750.
I did not
I
see
think
that
there's a
coming.
filing fee. But let me just tell you, I prepaid millions.
That's
and
one for the
millions
One for the
in
moderator.
taxes.
Dude, the independents
Number
right
one.
now.
Number two, I don't
Hold on,
make money
my
from China.
independent
You
followers.
do. I don't make money from Ukraine. You do. I don't make money from Russia.
Oh, look at
You
that
made
face.
$3.5 million, Joe. And your son gave you. They even have a statement that we have to give 10% to the big man. You're the big man, I think. I don't know. Maybe you're not.
What?
But you're the big man, I think.
Yo,
Your son said you have to give 10%
the
to
master
the
of
big man.
not saying
Joe, what's
stuff.
that all about? It's
That's some
terrible.
All right,
QAnon
gentlemen,
stuff
I want
right
to ask you
there.
both some questions
I have
about
to
all of this.
respond to
But I'm going to let you both respond very quickly. You just said you spoke to your accountant
Oh,
about
oh, here it
potentially
is.
releasing your taxes. Did he tell you when you can release them? Do you
As
have
soon
a
as the audit-
deadline
As soon as
for
the
when you're
audit's
gonna release
done.
I
them?
get
He
treated
said that the last
worse
debate
than
with
the Tea
Hillary
Party
Clinton.
got treated. Because
you
I have a
don't
lot
have
of
the time.
people in there
All right.
deep down in the IRS.
I
They
see
treat
you.
me
I see you,
horribly.
Tom.
We made
You
a
got
deal. It was all
4-2
settled until I
Trump.
decide to run
I
for
mean,
president.
4-2
I
Biden.
get treated
I
very
got
badly
5-2
by the
Biden.
IRS.
Treated very unfairly by the
We
IRS.
had a deal all done. As soon as we're completed with the deal, I want to release it.
I wanna
but
release it.
I have paid millions and millions of dollars, and it's worse than paying. I paid in advance. It's called prepaying your taxes. I paid in advance.
I want to ask you both about questions regarding your potential
Oh,
foreign
here we
entanglements
go.
and questions that have been raised to give you both a chance
Some
to
point
talk
you gotta
about this
respond to
more
this.
broadly. Respond very quickly, and then I'll get to my question.
Why did he's been saying this for 4 years? Show us. Just show us. Stop playing around. You've been saying for 4 years
Everybody
you're going to
knows
release your taxes. Nobody knows it, Mr. President. What they do know is you're not paying your taxes, or you're paying taxes that are so low.
Just keep
When
talking
last
about
time
him
he
paying
said what he
taxes to
paid,
China.
He said, I only pay that little because I'm smart. I know how to game the system. Come on. Come on, folks.
So
You have to connect that point to the regular American citizen. He goes, he knows how
I
to
was
pay
put through a
tax.
phony witch hunt
You?
for 3 years. It started before I even got elected. They spied on my
Oh,
campaign.
oh, here it comes.
No president should ever have to go through what I went through.
He's
Let me
such a
just
crybaby.
say this. Mueller
What are you
and
talking
18
about,
angry
bro?
Democrats and
That's
FBI
not even in the
agents
realm of the
for
question.
$48 million. They went through everything I had, including my tax returns.
They
and
didn't
found
go through
They
his
didn't
tax
go through
returns.
your
They
tax
moved to New
returns.
York.
nothing wrong. 48 million. I guarantee you, if I spent 1 million on you, Joe, I could find plenty wrong. Because
All right.
the kind of things that you've done and the kind of money
Come on,
that your
Biden.
family has taken. I mean, your
This
brother
way
made
out.
money in Iraq,
Let me-
millions of dollars. Your other brother made a fortune, and it's all through you, Joe. And they say you
Trump
get
is so
some of
gotta
it,
talk
and you
about
do live
Ivanka
very well.
and-
You have
and
houses all over
Junior.
the place. You
So
live very
desperate right
well.
now.
All right, gentlemen, let me just ask
Moderates
some
not
questions
having it.
about all of
Moderates
this
not
broadly.
having it.
Vice
Yep.
President Biden, there have been questions about the work your son has done in China and for a Ukrainian energy company
Come
when
on,
you were
Kristen.
vice president.
Control
In
this.
retrospect,
Yeah, Kristen,
was
you're not-
anything
yeah,
about
man.
those relationships
all right.
inappropriate or unethical?
Nothing
Yeah,
was
yeah, live,
unethical.
Kristen.
He's gonna answer it.
Played by Kristen
With
Wiig.
regard to Ukraine, we had this whole question about whether or not, because he was on the board, I later learned of Burisma, a company, that somehow I had done something wrong. Yet every single solitary person, when he was going through his impeachment, testifying under oath who worked for him, said, I did my job impeccably.
I forgot that.
Carried out U.S. policy.
True
Not
story.
one single solitary
story.
thing
It's
was out
nice.
of line. Not a single thing. Number one. Number two, the guy who got in trouble in Ukraine was this guy trying to bribe the Ukrainian government to say something negative about me.
You know, his
which
facial
it would
expression
not
sells
do.
it.
It did not do.
Trump's
because it
facial
never,
expression.
ever happened. My son has not made money in terms of this thing about, what are you talking about? China. I have not had the only guy made money from China is this guy. He's the only one. Nobody else has made
Ivanka
money.
Talk about the
did.
taxes.
Never
President
to
Trump,
deal with
let me,
China.
let me
By the
ask
way,
my question to you.
What, Ivanka?
Oh, my
Ivanka.
Very quickly.
Kristen, I
Sorry.
don't like
I know you
Kristen.
want to be
Didn't have a job for a
the
long
high
time,
class
was
dude.
sadly
I don't like
no longer
Kristen
in
right
the
now.
military service. I won't get into that.
Bring
And he didn't have a
Ivanka.
job. As soon as he became vice president, Burisma, not the best reputation in the world. I hear they paid him
Isn't that what you paid Stormy
Yeah, right.
Daniels?
183, and they gave him a $3 million upfront payment.
All right.
And he had no energy.
I'm going to let the vice president
That's
respond to that quickly,
100%
and then I need to get to a
dishonest.
question to you. Very quickly.
No
Mr.
basis
Vice
for that. Everybody investigated that. No one said anything he did was wrong in Ukraine.
Okay, President Trump, this is for you. Since you took office, you've never divested from your business. You've personally promoted your properties abroad. A report this week, which was referenced, does indicate that your company has a bank account in China. So how can voters know that you don't have any foreign conflicts of interest?
I have many bank accounts, and they're all listed. And they're all
That's not better.
And I was a businessman doing business. The bank account you're referring to, which is everybody knows about it, it's listed. The bank account was in 2013. That's when it was. It was opened it was closed in
I
2015.
believe.
I believe.
And then I decided because I was going to
believe.
do. I was thinking about
My
doing a deal
bank
in
account's
China like
open.
millions of other people. I was thinking about it, and I decided I'm not going to do it. Didn't like it. I decided not to do it. Had an account open, and I closed it.
Excuse me.
Excuse me. And then, unlike him, where he's vice president and he does business, I then decided to run for president after that. That was before. So I closed it before I even ran for president, let alone became president. Big difference. He is the vice president of the United States, and his son, his brother, and his other brother are getting rich. They're like a vacuum cleaner. They're sucking
Okay,
up money
President
every
Trump,
day.
thank you.
man.
We need
Not
to
true.
move on. I do want to ask you, Vice President Biden, about China. Let's talk about China more broadly.
He's missing
There
good
have,
responses
of course,
here.
President
He
Trump
is.
has
Not
said
looking
that
good.
they should
Yo,
pay,
Biden is
Looking
missing
good,
not
man.
gem
fully
opportunities.
Gotta give
pay
points to
in
Trump
regards
here.
to the coronavirus.
Gotta give points
If you
to
were
Trump.
president, would
My
you
boy
make China
Tom,
pay? And
you're
please
right.
be specific. What would that look like?
What I'd make China do is play by the international rules, not like he has done. He has caused the deficit of China to go up, not down.
I just
With China, up, not down. We are making sure that in order to do business in China, you have to give all your intellectual property. You have to have a partner
Ivanka.
in China. It's 51%. We would not do
Ivanka.
that at all, number one. Number two, we're in a situation where China would have to play by the rules internationally as well. When I met with Xi, when I was still vice president, he said we're setting up air identification zones in the South China Sea. You can't fly through them. I said we're going to fly through them. We just flew B-52,
see that B-1
B-1
bombers?
through it.
Holy
We're not going to pay attention.
The Civil
They have
War
to
Patrol.
play by the
Stand up.
rules. And what's he do? He embraces guys like the thugs like in North Korea and the Chinese president and Putin and others, and he pokes his finger in the eye of all of our friends, all of our allies. We make up we're 25% of the world's economy. We need to be having the rest of our friends with us saying to China, these are the rules. You play by them or you're going to pay the price for not paying by them economically. That's the way I will run it, and that's what we did in upholding steel tariffs and a range of other things when we were president and vice president.
All right, let's talk about North Korea.
Excuse me, no, I have to respond to that.
Yo, Kristen,
Very
yo, she
quickly, and then we're
sucks.
gonna move
Walked
on
out
to
with
North
$1.5
Korea.
billion
Yeah,
from
she's not
China
holding any
Not
ground.
After
True.
spending
None.
10 minutes in office and being in Air Force Two, number one. Number two, there's a very strong email talking about your family wanting to make $10 million a
There we
year
go.
for introductions.
President Trump, on China policy, though, what
No, but wait a
specifically are
minute.
you going to do? What specifically are you
He's just
going
throwing
to do
shit
to
out
make
now.
China pay? You've said you're going
First
to
of
make
all,
them pay.
China
Oh,
is
no.
paying. They're paying billions and billions of dollars. I just gave $28 billion.
New
Listen,
sanctions?
I just gave $28 billion to our
Yeah,
farmers.
our money.
Taxpayers'
China.
money.
It's what?
Thank you.
Taxpayers' money. Didn't come
Good
from
one.
China.
Good interruption, Biden.
China.
Good interruption,
China
Joe.
paid
True.
$28 billion.
That was the
and
best
you know what they
intervention
did,
yet.
Joe? They devalued their currency, and they also paid up. And you know who got the money? Our farmers, our great farmers. 'cause They
Base,
were targeted.
base.
You never charged them anything. Also, I charged them 25% on dumped steel because they were
Dude,
killing our steel.
I
industry.
sent
We were not
everybody in
gonna have steel
articles
industry.
how much we
And now we have a
lost
steel
from the
Okay,
China
Vice
trade.
President Biden, your response, please.
Our response is, look, this isn't about, there's a reason why he's bringing up all
Malarkey.
this malarkey.
And then there's a
Reason.
stutter.
Uh-oh.
I have
Malarkey.
Talk about
Joe's
the-
mad
Hold
now.
on, hold on.
It's not
As
about
a
his family or
stutterer,
my family. It's about your family. And your family's hurting badly. If you're making less than, if you're a middle-class family, you're getting hurt badly right now. You're sitting at the kitchen table this morning deciding, well, we can't get new tires, they're bald because we have to wait another month or so. Or are we going to be able to pay the mortgage? Or who's going to tell her she can't go back to community college? They're the decisions you're making. In the middle-class families like I grew up in Scranton and Claymont, they're in trouble. We should be talking about your families, but that's the last thing he wants to talk about.
I want
That is a
to. I want to
typical
talk
statement.
No, I
about.
wanna
Come on,
answer
Chris.
the
Come on,
spot.
Chris.
I just wanna hear it.
10 seconds,
Come on,
Mr.
come on.
President.
Stand
10
your ground.
Typical political statement. Let's get off this China thing, and then he looks, the family, around the table, everything. Just a typical politician when I see that.
Let's talk
I'm
about
not
Answer
a
the
political
question.
politician.
Nice.
That's why I got
Oh,
elected.
this is
good.
this is a
Let's
good.
Let's get off this
That was
subject of
good.
China. Let's
Chris,
look around,
you and
sitting
I,
around the table.
you
Come
agreed.
on, Joe, you can do better.
We're going to talk about North Korea now. President Trump, you've met with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un 3 times. You've talked about your beautiful letters with him. You've
Why is
touted
this
the
even
fact
a
that there hasn't
topic?
been a
We're talking
war
about
or a
Black
long-range
Lives
missile
Matter,
test,
fucking
and yet North Korea
systemic
recently rolled
racism.
out its biggest ever intercontinental ballistic missile. and
She's very
continues to
much
develop
into
its
the
nuclear
international
arsenal.
stuff
Do
this
you see
time.
that as a betrayal of the relationship?
Foreign policy?
forged?
We have
Just
other
30
foreign
seconds here
policy
because we have to
threats.
get on to the next
So when I met with Barack Obama, we sat in the White House right at the beginning, had a great conversation. It was supposed to be 15 minutes, and it was well over an hour. He said the biggest problem we have with North Korea. He indicated we will be in a war with North Korea. Guess what? It would be a
Obama,
nuclear
you
war,
were
and he
so
does have
fucking
plenty
right.
of nuclear capability. In the meantime, I have a very good relationship with him. Different kind of a guy, but he probably thinks the same thing about me. We have a different kind of a relationship. We have a very good relationship, and there's no war. And you know, about 2 months ago, he broke into a certain area. They said, "Oh, there's going to be trouble." I said, "No, they're not, because he's not going to do that." And I was right.
What is he
Look,
talking
instead of being in a
about?
war where millions of people
Even
sold
Eric is
you know,
like-
25 miles away, millions and millions.
He's just
32
making
This
shit
is what
up
I'm
now to
saying.
make
Like, all
himself
he's
look
doing
good.
is making
People
stuff
would
up
be
and
dead right
speaking
now.
it with
President Trump,
confidence.
that's
Like,
30 seconds.
come on,
Thank you.
man.
Vice President Biden, to you. North Korea conducted 4 nuclear tests under the Obama administration. Why do you think you would be able to rein in this persistent threat right
Because
now?
I'd make it clear, which we were making clear to China, they had to be
And we
part of the
killed
deal
Osama bin Laden.
I made it clear as a spokesperson of the administration when I went to China that they said, why are you moving your missile defense up so close? Why are you moving more forces here? Why are you continuing to do military maneuvers with South Korea? I said, because North Korea is a problem. And we're going to continue to do it so we can control them. We're going to make sure we can control them and make sure they cannot hurt us. And so if you want to do something about it, step up and help. If not, it's going to continue. What has he done? He's legitimized North Korea. He's talked about his good buddy who's a thug. And he talks about how we're better off. And they have much more capable missiles, able to reach U.S. territory much more easily than ever did before.
Let me follow up with you, Vice President Biden. You've said you wouldn't meet with Kim Jong-un without preconditions. Are there any conditions under which you would meet with him?
On the condition that he would agree that he would be drawing down his nuclear capacity to get the Korean Peninsula should be nuclear-free zone.
All right, let's move on to American families.
Kristen, they tried
Very
to
quickly,
meet with
10
him.
seconds,
They
President.
tried to meet with him. He wouldn't do it. He didn't like Obama. He didn't like him.
You like Dennis Rodman, though. You like Dennis Rodman.
He likes
Fuck
Dennis
outta here, that
Rodman.
It's
bullshit.
okay. You know what? North Korea, we're not in a war. We have a good relationship. You know, people don't understand. Having a good
President
relationship
Trump,
with
we have to
leaders
move
of other
on 'cause we
countries.
have a
None
lot
of that
countries, a lot of
bullshit.
questions to
By
get
the
to.
way,
Your
Like
response.
saying we had a
Just
good
to like
relationship
say it out there
with
open air,
before he
having a
traveled to
certain issue,
Europe.
it does play in the back of your mind when you have
The
somebody who's
reason he would
hostile
not meet
against
with
you.
President Obama is because President Obama said, we're going to talk about denuclearization. We're not going to legitimize you, and we're going to continue to put stronger and stronger
He doesn't even have a
sanctions
good
on you."
relationship with Canada.
why he
Who
wouldn't
doesn't
meet
have a
with
good
us.
relationship with
Precisely.
the
And
Canadians?
it didn't
Move
happen.
on. Let's
Excuse
move on
me.
and talk
He
about
left
American
me a
Or
mess.
Canada.
Kristen,
President Trump, okay, we do
They
need to move
left
on.
me a mess. North Korea was a mess.
We
And
need
in
to
fact,
move
if
on
you
so that
remember
we
the
can get
first
to all
2 or
of our
3 months,
questions tonight.
it was a
Damn
very
microphone
dangerous
already.
period in my first
South
3
Korea's
months.
like, what the
before we
fuck is
sort of
going on
worked
right
things
now?
out.
We thought we were good.
It was a very they left us a mess, and Obama would be, I think, the first to say it was the single biggest problem he thought that our country had.
Okay, let's move on to American families and the economy. One of
She's
the
all
issues
over the
that's
place.
most
So the moderator is
important to
not
them
doing
is
right.
healthcare.
Yeah, dude, like
Today
yeah.
there was a key vote
I'm
on
giving
a new
her.
Supreme Court
She's working on a
justice
C
Amy Coney
right
Barrett,
now.
and
Working
healthcare is
on
at
a
the
B
center of her
plus.
confirmation fight. Over 20 million Americans get their health insurance through the Affordable Care
I
Act.
miss
It's
Rachel
headed to the
Maddow.
Supreme Court, and your administration,
Yes,
Mr. President,
Rachel
is advocating
Maddow.
for the court to overturn it. If the Supreme
But
Court
I know where
does
she leans,
overturn
but
that
at
law,
least she
those
can
20
do
million
her
Americans
homework.
could lose their health insurance almost overnight. So what would you do if those people have their health insurance taken away? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
First of all, I've already done something that nobody thought was possible. Through the legislature, I terminated.
No,
the
you did that through the
individual mandate.
court.
That
You
is
did
the
that through the
worst
court.
part of
It's
Obamacare,
linear.
as we call it.
It's not
The
linear.
individual mandate where you have to pay a fortune for the privilege of not having to pay for bad health insurance. I terminated. It's gone. Now it's in court because Obamacare is no good. But then I made a decision.
No, you
Run it
did
as
not.
well as you can to my people, great people. Run it
There's
as
no
well as
plan
you
B,
can.
by the
I
way.
went
You
on
know
the other
that?
route and made everybody
He
very
said he could have
unhappy.
run the other route.
They ran
What
it.
other route?
I
He could
know
pass that
Republican
blank
friends
novel
in New
over to
Jersey
No matter
Leslie
how well
who are
you
Staub.
like,
run it,
what the
it's
fuck
no
we're
good.
gonna do
What we'd like to do
without
is
Obamacare?
terminate it. We have the individual mandate done. I don't know that it's going to work. If we don't win, we will have to run it, and we'll have Obamacare, but it'll be better run. But it no longer is Obamacare, because without the individual mandate, it's much different. Pre-existing conditions will always stay. What I would like to do is a much better
Details.
healthcare,
Ask him for
much better,
details.
Details. It's
will
like 60
always protect
minutes.
people with pre-existing. So I'd like
Really,
to terminate
Biden just needs to
Obamacare,
stand and
come up
go,
with a
"Give me
brand new,
details,"
beautiful
and
health
that's
care.
it.
The Democrats will do it because there'll be tremendous pressure on them, and
Tiny
we might
fingers
even
are
have the House
distracting.
by that time.
Tiny
And I think we're
fingers.
going
You
to
mean
win
when
the
you
House,
first
okay?
started
You'll
the
see,
first
but I
2
think we're
years
gonna
with
win
the
House.
House?
But come up with a better health care, always protecting people with pre-existing conditions. And one
Florida,
thing very important,
Florida.
we have 180 million people out there that have great private health care, far more than we're talking about with Obamacare. Joe Biden is going to terminate all of those policies.
fuck? You're
These are
straight
people that
lying
love
now.
their health care.
Yeah, that's a lie.
People that have
Joe,
been
Joe is the one
successful,
fighting
low-income
against
people,
that.
been successful.
Nobody loves
They
their
have
private
180
No.
Oh,
million
come on,
Nobody
dude.
loves insurance.
Finally
million
fucking
people,
yells.
families. Under
And
what he wants to do, which will basically be socialized
Tell you
medicine,
what, I
don't have
love
a
my
choice.
Canadian healthcare.
they want to terminate 180 million plans. We have done an incredible job on health care, and we're going to do even better.
Okay,
Let me
Vice
respond.
President Biden, yes, this is for you. Your health care plan calls for building on Obamacare. So my question is, what is your plan if the law is ruled unconstitutional by the Supreme Court? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
What I'm going to do is pass Obamacare with a public option.
Oh,
Become Obamacare.
shit.
The public option is an option that says that if you, in fact, do not have the wherewithal to be, if you qualify for Medicaid and you do not have the wherewithal in your state to get Medicaid, you automatically are enrolled, providing competition for insurance companies. That's what's going to happen. Secondly, we're going to make sure we reduce the premiums and reduce drug prices by making sure that there's competition that doesn't exist now by allowing the Medicare to negotiate drug prices with the insurance companies. Thirdly, the idea
I
that
know
I
you-
want to
I know,
eliminate
this is
private
not
insurance,
what
the
it-
reason why I had such a fight with 20 candidates for the nomination was I support private insurance. That's
Me and
why
Mike on
I
this
did
one.
Not one
Yeah,
single person. with
you know
private
what? For the
insurance
first
would
time,
lose their
I see the
insurance
two of you
under
guys,
my
and I'm
plan,
like,
nor
I
did
see how
they
funny.
under Obamacare. They
See
did
what?
not lose their insurance
Like,
unless they
this is
chose.
not enough.
They wanted to go to something else.
It's not what?
Lastly,
Medical,
we're going to
like,
make
when you
sure
talk
we're in a
about the medical
situation
plan,
that
is not
we can
enough.
actually protect pre-existing. There's no way he can protect pre-existing
I mean,
conditions.
You
None,
gotta go to
zero.
for
You
all
can't
out
do it in the
medical
ether.
for
He's
everyone
been
plan.
talking
You
about
can't
this for a
do
long time. There is
partial
no, he's
shit.
never come up
Doesn't
with a
work.
plan. I guess we're going to get the pre-existing condition plan the same
Ooh.
time.
It's,
we
it's
had the
more
infrastructure plan
psychological,
that
psychological
we waited
than
since
money.
17, 18, 19, and 20. The fact, I still have a few more minutes. I know you're getting anxious. The, the fact is that he's already cost the American people because of his terrible handling of the COVID virus and the economic
Get back to the COVID virus.
10 million people have lost their private insurance. And he wants to take away 22 million more people who have it under Obamacare and over 110 million people with pre-existing conditions.
He must have a
And
shot
all the
collar
people
on to
from
keep him
COVID
from
are going to have
talking.
pre-existing conditions. What are they going to do?
I have a follow-up for you, Vice President Biden. It relates to something that President Trump said. He's accusing you of wanting socialized.
He just explained what he
Chris
wanted.
And Mike,
Who have
Chris and
concerns that
Mike.
your healthcare
Here
plan,
we
which includes a
go.
government insurance option, takes the country one step closer to a healthcare
He just
system
explained
run
what he
entirely
was
by
going
the
to do
government.
that wasn't
Saying it's
socialized
ridiculous.
medicine.
It's like saying that, we're, the idea that the fact that there's a public
Yeah,
option
he
that
just
people can
explained that
choose,
part.
that makes it a socialist plan. Look, the difference between the president, I think healthcare is
Good.
not a privilege, it's a
Quoting
right.
Bernie now. Good man.
Everyone should have the right to have affordable health care. And I am very proud of my plan. It's gotten endorsed by all the major labor unions as well as a whole range of other people who in fact are concerned in the medical field. This is something that's going to save people's lives, and this is going to give some people an opportunity to have health care for their children. How many of you home are worried and rolling around in bed tonight wondering what in God's name you're going to do if you get sick because you've lost your home insurance, your health insurance, your company's gone under? We have to provide health insurance for people at an affordable rate, and that's what I do.
President Trump,
Excuse me, he was
your
there
response.
for 47 years. He didn't do it. He was now there as vice president for 8 years, and it's not like it was 25 years
Yeah,
ago.
they passed
It was
something.
3 3/4. It
took
was
a step in
just
the right
And what did
a
you
while ago,
pass?
right? Less than 4 years ago. He didn't do anything. He didn't do it. He wants socialized medicine, and
See-
it's not that he wants it. His vice president. I mean, she is more liberal. than
More
Bernie
liberal than
Sanders.
Bernie
Oh.
Sanders.
He's more liberal than
Wow.
Bernie
You're going to have
Sanders.
socialized
No, Mike,
medicine,
don't throw
just
up on
like
the
he
screen.
went with fracking. We're not going to have fracking. We're going to stop
Wow.
fracking. We're going to stop fracking. Then he goes to Pennsylvania after he gets a nomination, where he got very lucky to get it. And he
He
goes
got
to
very
Win the
lucky.
Pennsylvania.
lottery to win
And he says,
the
"Oh, we're going
Democrat.
to have fracking." And you never asked that question. And by the way, so far, I respect very much the way you're handling this. I have
Because
to
she
say.
hasn't
But
interrupted
somebody
him.
should
That's
ask the
why he
question.
respects
You
it.
can ask
He goes for a year. There will be
We
no
have a
fracking. There
we
will
do
be
have a
no
number of
petroleum.
topics
No,
we're
no,
going to
but
get
that's a
to.
big- that's a big question.
We're going to get to
I-
a
The
number
same
of
thing with
topics.
socialized
I have to
medicine.
respond.
Vice President, your response, please.
My response is people deserve to have affordable health
That's
care.
it. That's it.
period.
That's it. That's it.
Period, period,
That's it.
period. And
Say
the
less.
Biden care
Say less.
proposal will in fact provide for that
Yeah, go
affordable
back
health
to the
care,
key philosophy.
lower premiums. What
Yeah.
we're going to do
Say
is
Say
we're
less,
going to make some
Biden.
money.
Say less.
It's going to cost
Did
over
Biden say
$750 billion
ask him where
over
the health
10
plan,
years
his
to do it.
healthcare plan
And
was?
they're going to have lower premiums.
compare
you
him
can
to
buy the better
fucking
plans,
Bernie.
the cheaper plans, lower your
So
Say
the
premiums.
diff-
he's more,
deal
the
with
difference right
on-
here
you
is that
compare him
Trump's
to
just
Bernie. He
yelling.
said he's
having
more liberal than
drug
Bernie.
prices drop
Right.
significantly. He keeps
Trump is
talking
just
about
yelling
he has to
socialism,
offer a
and
thing
Biden's
for
actually
anybody
giving
on
you
healthcare.
ideas.
Not a thing.
Kristen, when
Very
he
quickly,
says,
then I want to talk
when
about
he
what's
says
happening on
public
Capitol
option,
Hill.
he's
Right.
talking about
Hey, look at our
socialized
comments on
medicine.
Facebook.
And when he and healthcare.
What's
When
your
he talks about
plan?
a public option,
Yeah.
he's talking about destroying your Medicare and destroying
All
your
right,
Social
Vinny P.
Security. And this
My
whole
comments
country
on
will
my
come down.
phone don't.
You know, Bernie
don't
Sanders
update
tried
fast
it
enough.
in his state. He tried it in his state. His governor
What,
was a
on
very
YouTube
liberal governor.
comments?
They
Yeah.
want to make it work.
That's a Vinny
It
P.
Let's let Vice President
impossible
Biden
to work.
respond.
It doesn't
Vice
work.
President
He's
Biden,
very
your response.
confused.
He thinks he's-
Also, he does not available apparently. So
Joe
shut
Biden.
up.
That's a great one.
Because I disagreed with them. Joe Biden, he's running against. And the idea that we're in a situation that they're going to destroy Medicare, this is the guy that the actuary at Medicare said, if in fact, at Social Security, if in fact he continues to withhold his plan to withhold the tax on Social Security will be bankrupt by
Yeah,
2023
it's fucking 2 years from
with
now.
no
It's 2
way to
years.
make up for it. This is the guy who's tried to cut
Social
Medicare.
Security.
So no, I
Not
don't
for
know. I mean,
me.
the idea that Donald
But
Trump
for your
lectured
generation.
me on Social
I'm
Security
good.
and Medicare, come on.
He tried to get
10
rid of
seconds,
He
Mr.
tried to
President,
hurt
and
Social
then I have
Security
another
years
question.
ago. Years ago. Go back and look at the records. He tried to hurt Social Security years ago.
All
One
right,
thing-
let's move
but
on.
this
I'm
is
going to
the
move
guy-
on.
He said
Let
some
me-
shit and
Mr.
then tell
President,
you
I
to
have
go
move
look
on to
at the
next
records.
question.
They said
Right.
the stock
Not
market
now.
will boom
Talk about it.
if I'm elected. If he's elected, the stock market will crash.
Okay, let's
biggest
move on
Join
to the next
Biden,
question.
3-8.
No matter
Whoa, whoa, Tom.
The idea that the stock market is booming
I-
is his
that's
only
about what-
measure of
that's
what's
about
happening.
right.
Where I come from,
Yeah,
the state,
I'm
they
thinking the
claim
other
that
way around,
people don't
8-3.
live off of the stock market. Just in the
Wait, who's got
just
eight?
in the last three
it
years,
should be
during this
Biden. I'm
crisis,
I'm
confirming.
giving I'm
se-
giving
the
Biden 8.
billionaires in this country made, according to the Wall Street,
Nah, I trust my
$700 billion
boy
more dollars.
Tom. You met him before, Chief,
700
by the way.
billion more
Offline, I'll
dollars.
tell you.
Because that's his
Guys,
only
you
measure.
Trini guys
What
connect.
happens to the ordinary people out there? what happens to them?
Let's talk about what's happening on Capitol
401ks,
Hill. We're going to
Kristen,
move on.
No, they're
401ks
not.
are through the roof.
We're gonna
People's
move on.
stock are through the roof.
All
And
right.
he doesn't come from
He doesn't come from
That's
Scranton.
like
Oh!
Now he doesn't come-
You're
oh,
not
he-
actually from New York City either.
We're gonna
Now
move
he
on to the
doesn't
next
come from
question.
Scranton, so
Let me
what?
Let me
He's a
move on to my
birther?
next question.
Literally,
As of
nobody
tonight,
I
will
wanna
claim
see
Scranton if they didn't
certificate. I
actually
wanna
come
see
from
where he was
Scranton.
As of
born
tonight,
at.
8 million more Americans have
Who
fallen
picks
into
Scranton to
poverty,
be from
and
if
more
they're not
families
from
are going
Scranton?
hungry every
That's
day.
what I'm saying.
Those
No
in
one would
artists are
claim
women
Scranton.
and people of
They all
color.
know each other.
They
It's
see
only like 12 of
Washington
them.
fighting over a relief bill. Mr. President, why haven't you been able to get
No,
them
he
to help
actually
them?
is from
30
Scranton.
seconds here.
No, he's
because Nancy
Scranton.
Pelosi doesn't want to approve it. I do.
But you're the president.
I do, but I still have to get. Unfortunately, that's one of the reasons I think we're going to take over the House because of her. Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to approve anything because she'd love to have some victories on a date called November 3rd. Nancy Pelosi does not want to approve it. We are ready, willing, and able to do something. Don't forget, we've already approved 3 plans,
No, it
and it's
hasn't.
gone through, including the Democrats, in all fairness. This one she doesn't want. It's near the election because she thinks it helps her politically. I think it hurts her politically.
All right, Mr. Vice President,
You know,
let's
the
Exactly.
Republican leader in the
Come
United
on,
States
dude.
said he can't pass it. He will not be able to pass it. He does not have Republican votes. Why isn't he talking to his Republican friends?
Let me follow up with you, Vice President
we made a
Biden,
deal, the
because
Republicans
let me
would
ask
pass
Vice
it.
President Biden a question. You are the leader of the Democratic Party. Why have
He
you
is
not
not
pushed
the leader of the
Democrats to
Democrat-
get a deal for the American people?
He's
Well, I
trying
have,
to
and
be
they have
that.
pushed it. Look, they passed this act all the way
What, the
back in the
leader of the
beginning
free
of the
world?
summer. This is like it's not new. It's been out there. This HEROES Act has been sitting there. And look at what's happening. When I was in charge of
about
the Recovery
McConnell.
Act with $800 billion, I was able to get $145 billion to local communities that have to balance their budgets and states that have to balance their budgets, and then have to fire firefighters, teachers, first responders, law enforcement officers, so they could keep their cities and counties running. He will not support that. They have not done a thing for them.
My
And
YouTube
Mitch
app won't
McConnell
Exactly.
said,
Throw
"Let
out
him
Mitch
go
McConnell.
bankrupt.
Yes.
Let him
Throw
go
him under the
bankrupt."
bus too.
Come on. What's the matter
The
with
bill
you?
that was
right.
passed in the House was a
Because
bailout
McConnell's the biggest
of
stall
badly
job.
run, high-crime, Democrat, all run by Democrats, cities and states. It
Except
was
the
a way
federal
of getting
government.
a lot of money, billions and billions of dollars to these states. It was also a way of getting a lot of money from our people's pockets to people that come into our country illegally. We were going to take care of everything for them. And what that does, and I'd love to do that, I'd love to help them, but what that does, everybody all over the world will start pouring into our country. We can't do it. This was a way of taking care of them. This was a way of spending on things that had nothing to do with COVID, as per your question. But it was really a big bailout for badly run Democrat
Yeah,
cities.
but the
and
COVID's
states.
all over the
I wanna-
If I
Republicans.
get elected, I'm running as a proud
Come on.
Democrat, but I'm going to be an American president. I don't see red states and blue states. What I see is American, United States. And folks, every single state out there finds
Look at
themselves
Trump.
in
Trump looks like a
trouble.
baby,
They're
yo.
going to start laying
know.
off whether they're red or blue. Cops,
always pouting.
firefighters,
Yeah,
first
he's such a
responders,
child.
I need
teachers,
more of my
because
steroid
they
shot.
have to balance their budget. The founders were smart. They allowed the federal government to
His
deficit
makeup
spend
looks
to
better
compensate
tonight, though.
for the United States
True,
of America.
actually
I want
true.
to talk about
They
the
blended
minimum
it
wage,
better.
gentlemen. Mr. Vice President, we are talking a lot about struggling small businesses
Yes.
and business owners these days. Do you think this is the right time to ask them to raise the minimum wage? You, of course,
Always a
support
good point to-
$15 federal minimum
I
wage.
do, because I think one of the things we're going to have to do is we're going to have to bail them out too. We should be bailing them out now, those small businesses. You got 1 in 6 of them going under. They're not going to be able to make it back. They passed a package that allows us to be able to call PPP. Money is supposed to go to help them do everything from organize how they can deal with their businesses being open safely. Schools, how they can make classrooms smaller, how they can hire more teachers, how they can put ventilation.
Ventilation.
systems
Tell
in.
'em, tell 'em.
They need the help.
Merc 13
Businesses
filters.
as well as the schools need the help. But these guys will not help them. It's not giving them any of the money.
We are going to move on to
Excuse me,
immigration,
one thing very
but I
quickly.
want
He
to
said
get
we
your
have to help our
reaction.
small businesses by raising the minimum wage. That's not helping. I think it should be a state option. Alabama is different than New York. New York is different from Vermont. Every state is different. It should be a state option.
You said very
Come on,
recently.
come on,
It's very
young
important.
lady,
We
your
have to help
name
our small
forgot.
businesses.
You
How
said-
are you helping your small businesses?
moderator
when
is
you're
pissing me
forcing
off.
Wages. What's going to happen, and what's been proven to happen,
We should have
is when you
Kamala
do that,
moderate
these
the
small
next one.
businesses fire many of
That'd
their
be so
You
dope.
said very
Not true,
recently you would
by the way.
consider raising the federal minimum
it.
wage to $15
Say
an
it.
hour. You said recently you would consider raising the federal minimum wage to
I-
$15
no,
an
I
hour.
would
Is
like-
that still the
And I
case?
would consider it
She's gonna be
in-
in
to
the
an
next
extent.
presidential
But
In a
what I
second
really like,
administration?
So would it
what I re-
consider
in
it
a
to
second
an extent.
administration, but not to a level that's going to put all these businesses out of business. It should be a state
I
option.
don't think Joe's
Look,
running for a
I've
second
lived
term.
in different places. I know different places. They're
He's
all
not.
different.
We all know he's
Some
not.
places, $15 is not so bad. In other places, other states, $15.
I honestly
Okay,
feel like Joe
President Trump,
really
thank
didn't
you.
want to run
Quick
for this
response,
term.
Vice President Biden.
No,
Two jobs.
I agree,
no, he kept
Keith.
saying
I think
No, he
really
didn't. He
any-
didn't.
poverty.
He felt
It's
like he
another
was the
reason
best
Making
choice.
$6, $7, $8
It's
an hour.
another reason
Honestly,
I
if you look
feel
back,
Responders, we all clap for
it's
him.
Bernie
another
would've
reason I
lost
down
feel
the street
comfortable
because
voting
they've
for him
allowed
because
us
I
to
feel
make
like he doesn't
What's
really
happening? They
he
deserve
doesn't really
a minimum
want to
wage
be
of
the president.
$15.
Like I feel like
Anything below that
feels
puts you below
duty
the
bound.
poverty level.
Keith, let's
And there
be
is
honest.
no evidence that when you
If it was
raise the
Bernie
minimum
against
wage,
Trump,
businesses go out
the
of business.
Democrats would've
That is
lost.
simply
No, I
not
don't think
true.
so.
We're going to talk about
Bernie
immigration.
Yeah, because
We're gonna
people
talk
are
about
stupid.
immigration now, gentlemen. And we're going to
Exactly.
talk about families
So, like,
in this
I agree
context.
with
Mr.
that.
President,
I don't
your
agree with you.
administration
Bernie still
separated
pulls
children
higher and
from
Bernie
their
does
parents
better
at
in
the
the
border,
Mike,
raised
Mike,
4,000
Mike.
kids. You've
Okay,
since
afterwards,
second.
afterwards we can have a discussion of
Yeah,
it.
we will.
Thank you, Chris.
Well, actually, I'll put a caveat on that. I don't guarantee that he would have lost.
Children
I
are
feel
brought
like
here by
All of this stuff
coyotes
going on
and
right
lots
now
of
is
bad
really
people,
Biden is
cartels,
sinking himself.
and they're brought here, and they
Everything
used
that's
to
going
use
on.
them to
All
get
right,
into our
we'll
country.
talk
We now have
offline
as
for
strong
Heroes
a
Peak
border as we've ever
podcast
had.
subscribers
We're
only.
over 400 miles of brand new wall.
But yeah,
You see the
dude,
numbers, and we let people
this
in.
was the best candidate that
But
would
how
be
will you reunite
acceptable
these
by
kids with
certain
their
people
families?
who were like
They built
not
cages.
right,
You know, they used to
who
say,
were
"I built
not
the
left,
cages." And then they had a picture in a
did not
certain
like Trump.
newspaper, and it was a picture of these horrible cages, and they said, "Look at these cages.
Sleeping?
President Trump built them." And then it was determined they were built
Is he praying?
in 2014. That was him.
Do you
They
have a
built
plan to
cages.
He always
reunite the
does
kids?
this when
Yes,
he
we're working
thinks
on
he's
it
making
very,
a point.
We're trying very hard, but a lot of these kids come out without the parents. They come over through cartels.
I
and
know.
through coyotes and
Cartels,
through
coyotes.
Vice
Hey,
President Biden,
stop.
let me bring you into this
525.
conversation. Quick response and then another question to you.
These 500 plus kids
That's the
came
corridor.
with parents. They separated them at the border to make it a
Kamala's not
disincentive
even,
to come
no,
to
she's
begin with.
black.
Real tough,
Kamala.
real really strong.
Kamala.
And
Eric-
guess what?
No,
They
never mind.
cannot, it's not coyotes didn't bring them over. Their parents were with
Talk
them.
about the
separated from
585
their
kids that they
parents.
can't reunite right
And it
now.
makes
Yeah,
us
talk
a
about
laughing
that.
stock in
With no
That's what he's
parents.
doing. That's what he's
Trying
talking about.
to.
We are as a nation.
He didn't mention it.
Let
He
me ask
didn't
you a
mention
question.
it.
They
He
did
did.
it.
He did.
We
He
changed
did.
the
He
policy.
He
did.
did.
Your response
They
to
did
that?
it.
We
changed.
did not
They built the
separate
cages.
They,
Who built the cages,
let's,
Joe?
let's
You did.
talk about
You
we'll talk
did.
about-
You
let's
did.
talk
No,
about
no, 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 no.
What
It was built
happened?
during the
Parents
Barack
were
and what you call
ripped
them.
their-
No, hold
ripped
on.
from their
You
arms
built the
and
new
separated.
cages. The
And
new
now they
cages.
cannot find over 500 sets of those parents,
Oh,
and those
oh,
kids are
Biden's
alone.
getting feisty.
Nowhere to go.
Good.
Nowhere to go. It's criminal. It's criminal.
Let me ask
Kristen,
you
I will
about
say this,
immigration.
they
10
went down,
seconds,
we
and
brought
then I need to ask
reporters,
you.
everything. They are so well taken care of.
How can you
They're
see a
in
kid in a
Their
cage is
parents.
well taken care of?
Some of them
We've
haven't
gotten
been
such good-
reunited.
but
with
just
Oh
their
my
answer
parents.
God,
one
even
question.
this
Who
12-year-old.
built the cages? I'd love you to ask him that. Who built the cages?
Let me ask about your immigration policy, Mr. Vice President. The Obama administration did fail to deliver
my God,
immigration
this-
reform, which had been a key promise during the administration. It also presided over record deportations as well as family detentions at the border before changing course. So why should voters trust you with an immigration overhaul now?
Because we made a mistake. It took too long
I'm-
to get it right.
Okay.
It took too long to get it right. I'll be president of the United States, not vice president of the United States. And the fact is, I've made it very clear. Within 100 days, I'm going to send to the United States Congress a pathway to
finally cut
citizenship
himself
for
from
over
Barack?
11 million undocumented people. And all of those so-called dreamers, those DACA kids, they're going to be immediately certified again to be able to stay in this country.
Good,
and
good,
put on a
good,
path
good
to
stuff.
Good,
citizenship.
good answers.
The
Good
idea
answers.
that they are being sent home by this guy and they want to do that is they've gone to a country they've never seen before. I can imagine you're 5 years old, your parents are taking you across the Rio Grande River and,
Yeah,
and it's
Eric,
and
from
it's
Haiti.
illegal.
From
They
Haiti.
say, oh, no, Mom, leave me here. I'm not going to go with you. They've been here. Many of them are model citizens. Over 20,000 of them are first responders. out there taking care of people during this crisis. We owe them. We owe them.
President
Kristen,
Trump,
he had 8 years to do what he said he was going to do.
And
I've
you've had 4
changed
years and you
without
haven't done
having
it
a
either. It was
Yeah,
like,
he
specific
had 8 years at Mitch
catch and
McConnell.
release. We
Right.
got rid of a lot of horrible
Fucking
things that they
turtleneck.
put in and that they lived with. But he had 8 years he was vice president. He did nothing except build
Which I
cages
gladly
to keep
accepted and
children
used.
in.
Vice President Biden, your response.
The catch and release, you know what he's talking about there? If in fact you
All right,
had
all
a
right.
family
So now he's playing his
came
game, which
across,
sounds
were
terrible,
arrested,
but
they in fact were given a date to show up for their hearing. They were released. And guess what? They showed up for a hearing. And this is the first president in the history of the United States of America that anybody seeking asylum has to do it in another country. That's never happened before in America.
this is
That's
good.
never happened
Because
before.
you
in
look at
America.
Trump's
You come to the
face.
United States and you make your
His
case
body move,
that I seek asylum
mannerisms.
based on the following.
yeah, but look at
on the following
Biden too.
premise,
He's like,
why I
he's
deserve it
really,
under American law.
really into this one.
They're
Yeah,
sitting in
he's spicy
squalor on
this
the other
time.
side of the
He's
river.
spicy.
was fucking
President Trump, your response.
spicy
Your
Kim
second.
Chow.
It just
No,
shows that
Eric,
he has
Mitch,
no
not-
understanding of immigration or the laws.
Not
Catch and
chicken
release
wings.
is a disaster. A murderer would
Oh,
come in.
oh, here
a
he goes.
rapist would come in. A very
Rapist?
bad
One of
person.
those.
This is his
Wendy's
elevator
episodes.
speech.
We would take
Oh my
them in.
God.
We have to
The
release
Latin
them
Steelers are
into
going to
our
Wendy's to get some
country.
spicy chicken
And then
nuggets
you
for
say they come
Biden.
back. Less than 1%
Sriracha
of the
Bidens?
people come back. We have to send ICE out and Border Patrol out to find them. We would say, come back in 2 years, 3 years. We're going to give you a court case. You need Perry Mason. We're going to give you a court case. When you say they come back, they don't come back, Joe. They never come back. Only the really,
Uh-oh.
I hate to say
They
it,
never
but
come
those
back.
with the lowest IQ, they might come back.
Okay,
What did he
President,
say?
let's give
Rules.
Vice President Biden a chance to respond.
What
and
did
then
he
we're gonna move
hesitate
on
to
the
say?
next
Don't know the
section.
law, Joe.
I don't know. I
Vice
want to know
President Biden,
though.
your response.
Know the law, what he's telling you is simply not true.
Well, check
Check
it
it
out.
out.
They
Check
don't
it
come
out.
back.
Check it out. Mike, check.
All right,
Mike,
let's-
1,
But
2,
we don't have to worry
Next
about it because they
section.
terminated it, so we don't have to worry about
Let's
it
move
anymore.
on to the next
And you have
section.
525 kids not knowing where in God's name they're going to be and lost their parents.
Go ahead.
All right.
You don't say
Let's
that
talk
under your
about
breath.
our next section, which is race in America. And I want to talk about the way black and brown
Now,
Americans
I'm
experience
done.
race in this country. Part of that experience is something called the talk. It happens regardless of class and income. Parents who feel they have no choice but to prepare their children for the chance that they could be targeted, including by the police, for no reason other than the color of their skin. Mr. Vice President, in the next 2 minutes, I want you to speak directly
James
to
has to
these
mute himself
families.
if he's
Do you
gonna be
understand
parenting.
why these parents fear for their
Sorry, sorry. I'm not meeting myself. Go
I
ahead.
do. You know, my daughter is a social worker, and she's written a lot about this. Has a graduate degree from the University of Pennsylvania in social work. And you know, one of the reasons why I ended up working on the east side of Wilmington, Delaware, which is 90% African American, was to learn more about what was going on. I never had to tell my daughter, if she's pulled over, make sure she puts, for a traffic stop, put both hands on top of the wheel and don't reach for the glove box because someone may shoot you. But a black parent, no matter how wealthy or how poor they are, has to teach their child when you're walking down the street, don't have a hoodie on when you go across the street. Making sure that you, in fact, if you get pulled over, yes, yes, sir,
yeah.
no, sir, hands on top of the wheel, because you are, in fact, the victim, whether you're a person making child of a $300,000 a year person or someone who's on food stamps. The fact of the matter is, there is institutional racism in America. And we have always said, we've never lived up to it, that we hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women are created equal. But guess what? We have never, ever
Wow.
lived up to it. But we've always constantly been moving the needle further and further to inclusion. Not
That's a
told
big-
that he said that.
That was
this
a
is the
big
first
moment
president
for a
to come along
debate.
and says, that's
Wow.
the end of that. We're not going to do that anymore. We have to provide for economic opportunity, better education, better health care, better access to schooling, better access to opportunity to borrow money to start businesses. All the things we can do, and I've laid out a clear plan as to how to do those things, just to give people a shot. It's about accumulating the ability to have wealth as well as it is to be free from violence.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
President Trump,
Yeah,
same
I like
question
that
to you, and let me
answer.
remind you
It was
of the
intelligent.
question. I would like you to speak directly to these families. Do you understand why these parents fear for their children?
Yes, I do. And again, He's been in government 47 years. He never did a thing except in 1994 when he did such
Bill.
harm to the black community. And they were called, and he called them super predators.
That was
That's a-
Hillary.
That was
actually.
Hillary. That's a lie, though.
Yeah.
And they have never lived that
But that's
down.
all Trump has. He
1994,
only
the
has that.
crime bill, the super predators. Nobody has
I
done
feel
more
like
for the
Trump
black
gets all of his
community
facts from
than
websites that
Donald
give
Trump.
you computer
And if you
virus.
look, with the exception of Abraham Lincoln, possible
All
exception,
right,
but the
shout out
exception
to
of Abraham Lincoln,
Brother Jai.
nobody has done what I've done.
Subscriber.
Criminal justice reform.
He just compared himself to
Obama
Lincoln
and
again.
Joe didn't do it. I don't even think they tried because they had no chance at doing it. They might have wanted to do it, but if you had to see the arms I had to twist to get that done, it was not a pretty picture. And everybody knows it, including some very liberal people that cried in my office. They cried in the Oval Office. 2 weeks later, they're out saying, gee, we have to defeat him. Criminal justice reform, prison reform, opportunity zones with Tim Scott, a great senator from South Carolina. He came in with this incredible idea for opportunity zones. It's one of the most successful programs. People don't talk about it. Tremendous investment is being made. Biggest beneficiary, the black and Hispanic communities, and then historically black
Dude, outside
colleges
of
and
Florida,
universities.
Hispanic communities
After
ain't
3
even
years of
listening
coming
here.
to the office, I love some of those guys. They were
Seriously.
great. They came into the
Just
office.
Cubans,
They said,
our
I said,
people.
what are you doing? After 3 years, I said, why do you keep coming back? Because we have no funding. I said, you don't have to come back every year. We have to come back because President Obama would never give them long-term funding, and I did. 10-year long-term funding, and I gave them more money than they asked for because they said, I think you need more. And I said, the only bad part about this is I may never see you again because I got very friendly with them, and they like me and I like them.
That sounded
But I
perverted.
saved it.
Yeah.
Colleges and universities.
Okay,
Eric
we're
is
going to
still
talk about
here.
both of your records, but your response to that, Vice
Auntie
My
President.
Brooks.
response to that is I never, ever said what he accused me of saying. The fact of the matter is, in 2000, though, after the crime bill had been in the law for a while, this is the guy who said, the problem with the crime bill, there's not enough people in jail. There's not enough people in jail. And go on my website, get the quote, the date when he said it. Not enough people. He talked about marauding gangs, young gangs.
Central Park,
people who
Central
are
Park
going to
5.
maraud our cities.
did.
This is a guy who, in the Central Park Five innocent black kids, he continued to push for making sure that they got the death penalty. None of them were guilty of the crimes they were suggested. Look, and talk about granted, he did in fact let 20 people, he commuted 20 people's sentences. We commuted over 1,000 people's sentences. Over 1,000. The very law he's talking about is a law that, in fact, initiated by Barack Obama. And secondly, we're in a situation here where the federal prison system was reduced by 38,000 people under our administration. And one of these things we should be doing, there should be no minimum mandatories in the law. That's why I'm offering $20 billion to states to change their state laws to eliminate
That's a
minimum
different
mandatories and set up drug courts.
conversation
No one
about
should be going to
prison.
jail because they have a drug problem. They should be going to rehabilitation, not to jail. We should fundamentally change the system, and that's what I'm going to do.
But why didn't he do it 4 years ago? Why?
Because he wasn't president, you fucking.
He said that. Why didn't you?
I
when
am
you were
not-
vice president.
I'm sorry,
you
Eric.
keep talking about all these things you're going to do, and you're going to do this, but you were there just a short time ago, and you guys did nothing.
We
You know,
did.
Joe, I ran because of you. I ran because of Barack Obama.
And run
Oh, you ran because Barack couldn't run 3 terms. That dickwad.
I ran
He couldn't do a
because
third
of you
term.
now. You're a politician.
Did James
I
just
ran
say
because of
dickwad?
you.
All right, Vice President
Sorry,
Biden,
Eric,
response to that, and then I
apologize.
do have some questions.
That's
for Vice
worse than when he
I'll tell you
said
what,
bucko.
I hope he does work today because what's happening
Trump
here
didn't
is,
run to help
you
black
know
people.
who
That's
I
for
am.
sure.
You know who he is.
Edit that shit
You know
out.
his character. You know my character.
Edit
You know our
that shit out.
reputations for honor and
You
telling
know
the
we're live,
truth.
right?
I am anxious.
That should
to
be the
have this
cold
race.
open.
I'm anxious
No,
to see this
no.
character.
We're
I am-
live. What are we
character
editing?
of the country is on the ballot. Our character is on the
No,
ballot.
This is
the
live.
The super
Right.
Let me ask
Superman
the
undies
folks,
are all
please
cold
respond,
open.
and then we're gonna have
Yeah,
some
it's
questions.
all
Talk
open,
about
Keith.
Russia,
Nice, you missed it,
Ukraine,
Brooks.
China, other countries, Iraq.
Thank
Brooks
God.
is
This is true. Then he's a corrupt
Thank God.
politician.
All right.
So don't give me the stuff about how you're this innocent baby. Joe, they're calling you a
simple.
corrupt
No, they're
politician.
calling you
No,
corrupt
it isn't.
President
politician.
Trump, I want to
fucking
stay on the
excuse
issue of
me.
race. We're
Take a
talking
look at
about
the
the issue.
laptop from hell.
President Trump, we're
Nobody-
talking about race right now, and I do want to stay on the issue of
You
race.
finally get into
President
race
Trump,
now?
just-
Oh my God.
Please,
Because look,
very
there
quickly.
are 50 former
Like,
national
what's your
television
thoughts about the Lakers
who said
winning
that
the
what this is
championship
accusing me of
against?
is a
Like, what are
Russian-
your thoughts?
That's what I want to know.
They have
I
said
know.
that this is has
Trump
all the
and Biden.
five
Where do you
former heads
stand
of the
with LeBron
CIA,
James?
both parties.
Where do you
say what
stand
he's
about the
saying
Knicks?
is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except the.
What do you
his
stand about
and
the
his good
Raiders
friend
moving to
Rudy
Las
Giuliani.
Vegas?
And the
mean
Giants
laptop
and
is
Dallas
now
Cowboys.
another Russia,
and
Russia,
Dak-
Russia hoax?
Dak
And that's
Prescott's getting a
exactly what.
contract
This
or
way
not.
That's
you're going?
exactly what
This
was
is
told.
where he's going. The
All right.
laptop is Russia,
Well, this is
Russia,
Gentlemen,
bad.
I want
This
to
has
stay on the
devolved
issue
again.
of race.
You
okay?
have to be kidding.
This is
Here we
really
go
bad. The
again with
moderator
Russia.
needs to rein this
We're going to
in.
continue on the issue of race. Mr. President,
believe
you've
that one.
described
lost
the
it.
Black
Oh,
Lives
wait,
Matter
I gotta hear
movement as
this.
a
It's
symbol
too
of
late.
hate.
It's too late.
You've
I don't
shared a
want to hear
video
the
of a man
responses.
chanting white power
Not
to
even
millions of
Biden's.
your supporters. You've said that black professional athletes exercising their First Amendment rights should be fired. What do you say to Americans who say that kind of language from a president is contributing to a climate of hate and racial strife?
Well, you have to understand, the first time I ever heard of Black Lives Matter, they
Eric,
were
that's
chanting
funny.
pigs in a blanket, talking about police. Pigs, talking about our police. Pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. I said, that's a horrible thing. And they
Wait,
were
that's the
marching
first
down
time
the
you heard
street.
about Black
No, you
Lives
should
Matter?
have heard what
First
young 11-year-old
glimpse of
Eric
Black
just
Lives
said.
Matter. I thought it was a terrible thing.
What he said?
Who are you
As
in
far
camera?
as my relationships with
What did he say?
all people, I think I have great relationships with all people. I
wanna
am
repeat what
the
you said?
least racist person in this room.
The
What do you
response
say
to
to
what Trump
Americans who
said.
are concerned by that rhetoric?
I
and
don't know.
by
I
the-
mean, I don't know what to say. I got criminal justice reform done and prison reform and opportunity zones. I took care of black colleges and universities. I don't know what to say. They can say anything. I mean, they can say anything. It makes me sad because I am the least racist person. I can't even
Say it,
see
Eric.
the
Say it
audience
again.
because it's so dark.
It's
But I
so
don't care who's
dark.
in the
I can't
audience.
see
I'm
the dark
least
people out there.
Racist person in this room.
Okay, Vice President Biden, let me ask you very quickly, and then I have a follow-up question for you.
Abraham Lincoln here
There
is
you
one of the
go.
most
Boom.
racist presidents we've had in modern history. He
Wow.
pours fuel on
Let's
every
go!
There it is. There it is.
All right.
Go!
every single
Put
one.
your
Started
LeBron
off his
panties
campaign
on,
down the escalator
get the
steps,
Lakers
get rid of those
jersey,
Mexican
23,
rapists.
and
He's
fucking
banned
duck
Muslims
that
because
shit
they're
and
Muslims. He
win.
has moved around and made everything worse across the board. He
No.
says to
The
about
poor boys,
Least
proud
is
boys,
president.
proud
Last time
boys.
we were on stage here, he said, I
Did he
told him to
say
stand
poor
down
boys?
and
Yeah,
stand
he did say
erect."
poor
Come on.
boys.
Well,
This
most
guy
of them
is a
are poor
dog whistle
boys, so
about as big
it's
as a
not
farm.
bad.
President
Didn't they
Trump,
try
I'm
to
gonna give you
change to
10
the
seconds to
Leathermen or
respond, and I
something
have a follow-up.
stupid?
All right.
Right
Right now it's
Where
10:19.
did that
They have
You
probably
said
like
where
11
Abraham
minutes.
No,
So
where
this
did
is
that?
like
No.
good
I
time.
said not
Who's
since
next?
Abraham Lincoln has anybody done what I've done for the black community.
And I'm
I
saying
didn't
he-
say
I'm better than
Abraham
Abraham Lincoln
I
is what you said.
Not since Abraham Lincoln has anybody done what I've done for the black.
Let's all be clear that
Now,
Abraham Lincoln
you
didn't
have done
actually do
nothing
shit.
other than the crime bill,
Also.
which put
Nah, he
God.
did.
tens of thousands of
That's a
black
different conversation for
men,
another time.
mostly in
That's a
jail.
different
All right, let me,
conversation.
let me,
Avengers
let me
They
ask
Endgame,
Vice
remember
President
because if you
Biden.
look at what's happening with the voting right now.
Degrees
Let
of
me ask
which
Vice
is
President
They
Biden
treated them
like
about-
very,
the
very
president.
badly.
He
Just
did.
take a look at
Let's
what's
talk
happening
about
out there.
Vice President
right
Biden, let me give you
now.
a chance to respond
Phase
within this
4
context.
Marvel.
Crime bills that you supported in the 80s and 90s contributed to the incarceration
Oh,
of
here
tens
it
of
is.
thousands
Crime
of
bill.
young black men who had small amounts of drugs in their
I don't want to
possession.
hear this.
They are sons, they are brothers, their fathers, their uncles, whose families are still to this day, some of them suffering the consequences. So speak to those families. Why should they vote for you?
One of the things is that in the 80s, we passed 100%, all 100 senators voted for it, a bill on drugs and
That's
how to
Reagan.
deal with drugs. It
Thank
was a
Reagan for
mistake.
that.
I've been
Okay,
trying to
cool.
change
It
that
was a
since,
mistake.
particularly the portion
Yeah,
of
Excellent.
cocaine.
Exactly.
That's what
You
we
heard
want to
that?
hear from.
Arguing
Dude,
that
I heard it.
the
I
fact
heard
that
it.
not
You guys all heard
send
it. It was a
anyone
mistake.
to jail
That's
for a pure
That's all you
drug
want from a
offense.
president,
They
someone
should
who
be
can
going into
admit
jail
a mistake,
across
man.
the board.
When I'm wrong, I'm
Actually,
fucking
we should be
wrong.
spending money.
Wait,
That's
hold
why I set
on.
up drug courts,
Tom,
which are
my
now
buddy
funded by
Tom. What do you got?
Republican
We got.
friends. They should not be going to jail for a drug or an alcohol problem. They should be going
3-9
into
Biden.
treatment.
No.
That's what we've been trying
I
to
say
do.
10-2
That's what I'm
Biden.
going to get done
10-2.
because I think maybe the American people have now seen that in fact it was a mistake.
What's
to
the
pass
Shout out to
all
my
the laws
to my
related
Trini
drugs,
boy.
but they were not in the crime bill.
But why didn't he get
What's
it
the
done?
third,
See, it's
Trump
all
point
talk,
squad?
no action with these politicians.
Who's following
Why
us
didn't he get it done?
on
That's
Harris
what I'm
Peak?
going to do when I become president. You were vice president along with Obama as your
Yo,
president.
Jai,
your leader,
don't text
for
me.
8 years.
Post that shit
Why
on
didn't you
fucking
get it
Harris
done?
Peak.
You had 8 years to get it done. Now you're saying you're going to get it done.
The Trump
because
not know about
you're all
Linda
talk
B.
and no action.
Johnson.
We got a lot of
Civil
them.
rights
We
right,
released
maybe
38,000.
more.
We got
Post that shit
38,000
on fucking
prisoners.
threats.
You got
Some of us
nothing
are
done.
trying to
38,000
listen.
prisoners were released from
I'm
federal
sorry.
prison.
I'm sorry.
We have
Simmer
there
down
were
now.
over 1,000 people who were given
Simmer
clearance.
down.
We in fact, we're the ones that put
Sorry,
in the legislation
Jai,
saying
online
we could look at
and
pattern
offline.
and practice of police departments and what they were doing, how they were conducting themselves. I could go on, but we began the process. We began the process. We lost an election. That's why I'm running to win back that
He's
election
right.
and change his terrible policy.
I
Quick
just
response,
asked,
and then we're
I
gonna
just
move
asked
on
one
to climate
question.
change.
Why
Mitch McConnell. Just say
didn't
Mitch
you do
McConnell.
it in the 8 years, a short
Mitch
time
McConnell.
ago? Why didn't you do it? You just said, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this. You put tens
Because-
of thousands of mostly black young
No,
men
he didn't
in
do it
prison.
personally.
Now you're saying you're going to
He didn't go
you're
arrest
gonna
them.
undo that. Why didn't you get it done? You had 8
There's a new
years with
sheriff in
Obama.
town.
You know why,
Because-
Joe? Because you're all talk and no action.
All right, Vice President
Oh.
Biden, and then we're going to move on to the
Ouch.
next section.
We had a
There it is.
Republican
He was
Congress.
going to say it.
Now she wants to get some.
That's the answer.
Well,
Okay.
You got to talk him into it, Joe.
All
Oh,
right.
Sometimes
he,
you gotta
did, he
talk
was
him
going to
into it.
say
We're
it,
going to move
and
on
he
to our
didn't.
next section,
Like I
which
did with
is
criminal
climate
justice
change.
reform. I had
Okay.
to talk Democrats into it.
Gentlemen,
You
we're,
did
we're-
what we
we're running out of
already
time, so we got to get on to climate change.
That was
please.
terrible
You
all
both have
around.
very
That was
different
bad.
visions.
Shit,
on
I might
climate
make
No,
that.
no, it was a very
Nine-3.
it wasn't terrible all around. He said it was
Vice
wrong.
President Biden, you
That
have
was a
said
very
you see
big
addressing
very
climate
big win
change
for
as
him.
an
No, it's
opportunity
wrong,
to
but then
create
they're
new
trying to
jobs.
explain it, and
For
he
each
was
of you,
like,
how would you both
Congress,
combat
and then he
climate
just
change
stopped.
and
They
support
cut him
job
off.
growth at
They-
the same time, starting with you, President Trump?
She chose
You have
that
2
moment to
minutes
get some
uninterrupted.
nuts.
So,
Right.
We have the Trillion Trees program. We have so many different programs. I do love the environment, but what I want is the cleanest, crystal clear water,
Ah.
the cleanest
I guess
air.
I'll
We
make
have
that
the best,
11-3
lowest
Biden.
number in carbon emissions, which is a big standard that I
On the
know Mr.
environment
Obama
stuff,
goes
like
with all the
nobody's
time.
gonna believe you,
Not
Trump.
Joe. I haven't heard
Like,
Joe
nobody
use the
believes
term because I'm not sure he knows what it represents or means, but I have heard Obama use it. And we have the best carbon emission numbers
because they're
that
just
we've had
constantly
in
going down. That's
35
it.
years under this administration.
No one's using
We
gas
are
right now
working
because
so
we're working
well
from
with
home.
industry
dumbass.
That's
partners.
right.
We
That's
can't
true.
Look at
The amount of
China,
travel
how
has been
filthy
reduced by
it
a
is. Look
This
at
guy's
Russia.
autistic.
This is
Look
COVID.
at
COVID
India.
inspired
It's
clean air.
filthy.
sorry, Eric,
The,
you're right.
the air is filthy.
Except for in
The Paris
California
Accord,
and
I took this
Colorado.
out because we were going to
Yeah.
have to spend trillions of dollars, and we were treated very unfairly. When they put us in there, they did us a great disservice. They were going to take away our businesses. I will not sacrifice tens of millions of jobs, thousands and thousands of companies because of the Paris Accord. It was so unfair. China doesn't kick in until 2030. Russia goes back to a low standard, and we kicked in right away. It would have destroyed our businesses. So, you ready? We have done an incredible job
anything. That's the
environmentally.
problem.
We have the cleanest air, the cleanest water, and the best carbon emission standards that we've seen in many, many years.
Vice President
And we
Biden.
haven't destroyed our industries.
Vice President Biden, 2 minutes to you, uninterrupted.
Climate change, climate warming, the global
Fuck that
warming.
shit.
is
Let's go to
existential
Mars,
to
man.
humanity.
We got
We
some
have a
soils
moral
from
obligation
Mars. We got
do it.
aliens.
And we're told by all the leading scientists in the world we don't
No,
have
so
much
you
time.
know what that's
We're
talking
going to pass
about.
the point of
We
no
got some
return
fucking
within the
DNA
next
of
8 to 10
asteroids.
years. 4 more years of this
gonna
man
cure COVID-19,
eliminating all the
20, 21,
regulations
and
that were put in
22.
by us to clean up the climate, to clean up, to limit.
Is that
limit of
Tupac
emissions, will put us
Shakur
in a position
Dougie?
where we're going to be in real trouble. Here's where we have a great
Tupac
opportunity. I was
Shakur,
able to
thank
get
you.
both all the environmental organizations.
Dude,
as
we
well
just
as labor
found
people worried
asteroids
about
on
jobs
Mars.
to support my climate.
Cohhagen
plan.
was
Because
right.
what it does, it will create millions of new good-paying
Big guys
jobs.
to Mars.
We're going to invest in, for example, 50,000 charging stations, on our highways so that we can own the electric car market in
Give
the
the people
future.
the
In
air.
the meantime, China is
By the
doing
way,
that.
yeah,
We're
electric
going to be in a
vehicle charging
position where we're
stations.
going to see to
That's the
it
new
that
shit,
we're going to
man.
take 4 million existing
Got to
buildings,
make those things cheap
buildings
enough that
and 2
normal
million
people can
existing
get them, though.
homes and retrofit
They're
them so
working
they
on
don't
it,
leak as
Chris.
much
We'll
energy,
talk offline.
saving
They're working on
hundreds
it.
of millions of barrels of oil in the process and creating significant number of jobs. And by the way, the whole idea of what this is all going to do, it's going to create millions of jobs. And it's
The
going
thing
to
is,
clean
we
the
all know
environment.
Biden's
Our
not the
health
guy to carry
and our
that
jobs
flag.
are at stake.
He's just
That's what's
the
happening.
temporary
And
steward.
right now, by the way,
Like
Yeah,
Lord of the Rings,
he's just
a
got to
steward.
stop the
my
destruction
plan,
right now. And
my
Exactly.
plan will in fact create
He's the
18.6
steward,
million
not the
jobs,
king.
7 million more than his. This is from Wall Street, and I'll create $1 trillion more in economic growth than his proposal does. Not on climate, just on the economy.
President Trump, you're
Today came out and said very strongly, $6,500 will be taken away from families under
Yeah,
his
if you make
plan.
over
That his plan is an
$450,000.
economic disaster. If you look at what he wants to do,
Yeah, he said that.
If you look at his
And
his
Doesn't do it
environmental
well,
plan,
let's
you know
done
who
the
developed
math, but we're okay with
it?
that.
AOC plus 3. They know nothing about the climate. I mean, she's got a good line of stuff, but she knows nothing about the climate. And they're all hopping through hoops for AOC plus 3.
Oh, what's key? AOC.
Their real plan
AOC.
cost $100 trillion. If we had the best year in the history of our country for 100 years, we would not even come close to a number like that. When he says buildings, they want to take buildings down because they want to make bigger windows into smaller windows. As far as they're concerned, if you had no window, it would be a lovely thing. This is the craziest plan that anybody has ever seen. And this wasn't done by smart people. This wasn't done by anybody. Frankly, I don't even know how it can be good
All right.
politically. They want to spend $100 trillion. That's
here
the
is
real
Pete.
number. He's trying to say it was 6. It's $100 trillion. They want to knock down buildings and
Oh,
build
don't
new
text
buildings
me.
with
Get on
little,
Harris Pete
tiny,
podcast.
small windows. I mean, and many other things.
Okay.
And many other things.
Let me have the Vice President
It
respond,
is
and we're running out of
crazy.
time, and we have a lot
And
more
you'll
questions to
destroy
get
our
to. So
country.
let's hear from the Vice
Wait.
President. I have a number more questions.
I don't know where he comes from. I don't know where he comes up with these numbers.
Queens.
$100 trillion. Give me a break. This plan has been endorsed by every major environmental group and every labor group. Labor, because they know the future lies. The future lies in us being able to breathe, and they know there are good jobs in getting us there. And by the way,
future
the
lies in us
fastest growing
being able to
industry in
breathe.
America is the electric, solar energy and wind. He thinks wind causes
dude.
cancer, windmills. It's the fastest growing job.
It's not
And
wind,
they
it's
pay
solar. It's
good
not wind,
prevailing
it's solar.
wages,
No, he
45,
he
50
said
bucks
that
an
the
hour.
wind,
We
that
can
windmills
grow
cost
and we
Hold on,
can
Eric
get
said
cleaner
keto.
if we
Keto's
go
the
the route
fastest.
I'm proposing.
President Trump,
Excuse me.
please
We are
respond, and then I have
Keto.
some
We are
follow-up.
The
energy
keto diet is the
independent
fastest.
for the first time. We don't need all of these countries that we had to fight war over because we needed their energy. We are energy independent. I know more about wind than you do. It's
No.
extremely expensive.
No.
Kills all the birds.
No.
It's very
No.
intermittent. It's got a lot of problems, and they happen to make the windmills in both Germany and China. And the fumes
kills all
coming
the
up,
birds.
if you're a believer in carbon emission,
No, here
the
come my
fumes
engineer
coming up
buddy.
to
Nah,
make these
dude.
massive
Don't fucking
windmills
text
is
me.
more
Go
than
on.
anything that we're talking about with
No,
natural
wind is
gas, which is
expensive.
very
You
clean.
know how
One
much
other
it costs to
thing.
get
Find
those
me a
fans
scientist
going in
who
Arctic
said
to
I
get
love
the wind
solar,
going
but
all
solar
around the
doesn't
world?
quite have it yet.
Costs a lot
It's
of
not
money.
powerful yet to really run our big, beautiful factories that we need to compete with the world. So
False.
it's all a pipe dream. But you know what we'll do? We're going to have the greatest economy in the world. But if you want to kill the
All right.
economy, get rid of your oil industry. You want, and what about fracking?
All right,
Now-
let me
now we
let me
have to
have
ask
let
him
me
about
allow
fracking.
Vice President
I
Biden to
have
respond.
never said I oppose fracking.
Mike, we got a question for you about
Show
Canada.
the tape. Put it on your website.
I'll put it on.
Put it
On
on the
YouTube.
website. The fact of the matter is,
Showed
he's
it last
flat lying.
Would you
Flat-
rule out banning fracking?
Yeah, you know,
I do rule out banning
what she's
fracking
saying is
because
that
the
a lot
answer
of the
we
oil
need
comes from Canada, right?
we need
oil
other
sands.
You can respond.
industries
Text and
to
respond.
transition to get
Well, they
to
can hear it.
ultimately a complete zero emissions by 2025. What I will do with fracking over time is make sure that we can capture the emissions from the fracking.
Which are deadly.
Capture the
They're not
emissions from
positive.
gas. We can do that, and we
The
can
whole-
do
the
that
whole
by
bu-
investing money.
business
and
of
doing
fracking
it. It's
is
a
bad. We
transition.
need
Go back to solar
I have one more
and
question. this
hydro
time that we need- we
and
have-
He was
even fucking
against
nuclear.
fracking. He
Well, he
said
doesn't
it.
wanna
and
lose.
Never thought I'd say that
tomorrow,
shit.
I
Nuclear is
am
better than
against
fracking.
Until he got the nomination, went to Pennsylvania, then he said,
Fracking
but you know what,
removes
Pennsylvania, he'll be
your
against it very soon
fracking
because his
fossil
party
fuel
is totally
rocks
against it.
again.
Fracking on federal land, I said.
fuels,
No fracking.
gas,
and
I hate
oil
this
on
discussion.
Let
federal
me
I
ask
really
this
do.
final
This is a
question
dumb
in this
one.
section, and then I want to move on to
It
our
only
final
helps in
section.
Pennsylvania.
President Trump,
Oh,
people
hang
of
on, let's
color
hear the
are
question.
much more likely to live near oil refineries and chemical plants. In Texas, there are families who worry the plants near them are making them sick. Your administration has rolled back
I see.
regulations on these kinds of facilities. Why should these families give you
Ooh,
another 4
all
years
right,
notice?
Mike.
That's a good
your
one.
What we're
response?
talking about are employed heavily, and they're making a lot of money, more money than they've ever made. If you look at the kind of numbers that
I
we
can
produce
respond
for
too, but I'll let you
Hispanic,
respond.
for black, for Asian,
I
it's
know about
9
Niagara-
times greater
Niagara
the
Mohawk.
percentage gain than it was under
Talking about
in
Niagara
3
Falls there,
years
right?
than
Yeah.
it was under
Yeah.
8 years of the.
So she asked
two of
about
them,
health,
to put it
and he's
nicely.
telling her they're making
9
great
times
money at it.
more. Now, somebody lives, I have not heard the numbers or the statistics that you're saying, but they're making a tremendous amount of money economically. We saved it, and I saved it again a number of months ago when oil was crashing because of the pandemic. We saved it. We got, say what you want about relationship, we got Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Russia to cut back way
Russia,
back. We
really?
saved our oil industry, and now it's very vibrant again.
All
And
right.
everybody has very inexpensive gasoline.
I
believe
love
me.
Vice
Biden's
President
face.
Biden, your response, and then we're going to have a final question for both of you.
My response is that those people live on what they call fence
Nice.
lines. He doesn't understand this. They live near chemical plants that, in fact, pollute. Chemical plants and oil plants and refineries that pollute. I used to live
Right.
near that when I was growing up in Claymont, Delaware. And the more oil refineries in Marcus Hook and the Delaware River than there is any place, including in Houston at the time. When my mom get in the car and when there was first frost to drive me to school, turn in the windshield wiper, there'd be oil slick in the window. That's why so many people in my state were dying and getting cancer. The fact is, those frontline communities, it doesn't matter what you're paying them, it matters how you keep them safe. What do? And you impose restrictions on the pollutions the pollutants coming out of those fence line communities.
Okay, I have one final
Would he
question.
close
It
down
falls-
the oil
It
industry?
falls.
Would you close
it
down the
falls-
oil
By the way, I
industry?
would transition from the oil industry, yes.
Oh,
I will
that's a big
transition.
statement.
It is a big statement
That's a big
because
statement.
I would stop
Why would you do that?
because the oil industry pollutes significantly.
I see.
And here's the deal, but you
That's a
can't
big
do that.
statement.
Well, if you let me finish the statement, because it has to be replaced by renewable
Yes,
energy
that's
over
it.
time. Over time. And I'd stop giving to the oil industry, I'd stop giving them federal subsidies. He won't give federal subsidies to the gas, excuse me, to solar and wind.
Yeah.
Why are we giving it to oil industry?
We actually do
All
give
right.
it
No,
to
we
solar and
don't.
wind.
We
And
have
that's
one
maybe the
final
biggest
question.
statement in terms of business. That's the biggest statement.
Okay,
Because
we have
basically
one
what he's
final
saying
question,
is he is
Mr.
going to
President.
destroy the oil industry.
He just talks over
Yeah,
her,
you
and
know
she
what?
just
Yeah,
lets him.
destroy it. Yeah, you're
Remember
right.
Pennsylvania?
They will destroy
Vice
the oil
President Biden, let me
industry.
give you 10
Say
seconds
that
to
shit.
respond, and then I have to
She's
get
the
to
worst,
the final
yo.
question. Vice President Biden.
She's terrible.
Takes everything out
She's
of
worse than
context.
Christopher
But the point
Wallace,
is,
any other person.
we
before.
have to move toward a net zero emissions. The first place to do that by the year 2035 is in energy production, by 2050 totally.
All right. One
Is he gonna
final
get
question
China to
both
do
of
it?
you. No, we're finished with
Is
this.
he
We
going
have
to
to
get
move on
China
to
to
our
do it?
final question. We
No,
have to
I'm
move
going
on
to
to our final
rejoin Paris
question.
Accord and make China abide by what they agreed to.
All right,
That'll
this
cost you
is
$1
about
trillion.
leadership, gentlemen. And this first question does go to you, President Trump. Imagine this is your inauguration day. What will you say in your address to Americans who did not vote for you? You'll each have 1 minute, starting with you, Mr.
We have to make our country totally
the up over there.
successful as it was prior to the plague coming in from China. Now we're rebuilding it, and we're doing record numbers, 11.4 million jobs in a short period of time, etc. But I will tell you, go back. Before the plague came in, just before, I was getting calls from people that
I
were
see you laughing,
normally
Brooksy.
people that would call
Brooksy.
me.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah,
this is
They
when
wanted
he
to
starts
get
making
together. We
people
had
up
the
that don't
best
exist.
Black unemployment numbers in the history of our country. Hispanic, women,
Juan Valdez and the
people
Colombian
with
coffee
diplomas, with no
regime.
diplomas, MIT graduates, #1 in the class. Everybody.
Tim
had the
Horton even
best
called
numbers.
me.
And you know what? The other side wanted to get together. They wanted to unify.
Pinocchio.
Success is going to bring
Italians.
us together. We are on the road to success. But I'm cutting taxes, and he wants to raise everybody's taxes, and he wants to put new
Yeah.
regulations
So
on
you're
everything.
This is what he's going to say to the American
If he
people.
gets in,
They're
you
not
will have a
rich enough.
depression, the likes of which you've never seen. Your 401ks will go to hell.
No, not
and it'll be
everyone
a
has
very,
401k.
very
I mean,
sad
not
day
four.
for this country.
There's
All
four
right.
in us.
Vice President Biden, same question to you. What will you say during your inaugural address to Americans who did not vote for you?
I will say, I'm an American president. I represent all of you, whether you voted for me or against me. And I'm going to make sure that you're
I'm gonna show
represented.
you.
I'm going to give you hope. We're going to move.
Right
We're
after
going
we
to
get
choose
oil.
science over
Yeah.
fiction. We're going to choose hope over fear. We're going to choose to move forward because we have enormous opportunities to make things better. We can grow this economy. We can deal with the systemic racism. And at the same time, we can make sure that our economy is being run and moved and motivated by clean energy, creating millions of new jobs. And that's the fact. That's what we're going to do. And I'm going to say, as I said at the beginning, what is on the ballot here is the character of this country.
It's more decency.
Honor,
The soul of our
respect,
country.
treating people with dignity, making sure that everyone
Like
has an equal
Infinity
chance.
War.
And I'm going to make sure you get that. You
No
haven't been
laugh.
getting it the last 4 years.
All right. I want to thank you both for a very
You're
robust
terrible.
hour and a half.
Robust.
Fantastic debate. Really appreciate it. President Trump, former Vice President
Listen,
Joe
I
wanna
Biden.
fire her.
Thank you to Belmont University for hosting
did
us
not
tonight.
hold up
and most
anything.
importantly, thank
Not
you to
to
those
Trump at
watching
all.
tonight.
We needed
Election
Leslie
Day
Stahl.
is November 3rd.
Yeah.
Don't forget to vote.
Yeah,
Thank
that
you,
would've been
everyone,
nice.
and have a great night.
Thank you.
It was more civil, obviously, because they didn't talk over each other as much, but
But
lot
nobody's mic was cut off.
I don't know. The one time Biden tried to talk, I thought his mic was down, but I wasn't sure. I guess it wasn't. But yeah,
Shout out to Joe Biden, man. I like her fucking like.
Who Dr. Biden again?
Excuse
Dr.
me.
Biden.
You're right, Dr. Biden.
I love that her mask matches her dress.
First names are for Melania.
Yeah. I don't like Christmas. It's wank. Get out of here, white
Yeah.
ass.
Well, I don't think that was Joe's best performance. But he didn't have to deal with as much interruption. But it's just got to be hard because all Trump did was lie and make shit up numbers.
That's extreme.
I just don't
uh,
understand how he's allowed to lie like that so blatantly. Why is no one stopping that from happening?
Nobody
Well-
fact checks anymore live, Brooks. No one does that anymore.
Well, and it was really it would be up to the moderator to say something, or Joe has to counteract, which just looks like a debate
what-
point instead of actual like fact check.
What incentive does he have to go against what's been working for him?
No, he
He
doesn't have
doesn't.
any incentive.
So
Yeah,
like why? My question would be why would he stop lying
he's not
blatantly?
obvious. Yeah, we saw even in interviews, even when he's people show him stuff, he'll just lie about it.
I honestly believe he believes these lies, though. I think like he believes it.
Yeah, but
He doesn't believe Trump. He knows he's lying.
But he also like you can see it in his movements. He just tosses
He
shit out
knows
there.
he's lying, dude. He
$100
knows.
trillion and like a guy called me who's never called a president in before and thanked me for the best economy in the world. Like that's just bullshit.
He's been doing it for like 60 fucking plus years. To him, it's like the lie becomes the truth.
That's
Yeah.
what I mean. I feel like that's how he lies with so much ease. Like I feel like the first person he lies to and believes it is himself.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to him because when it for his business he always had just like someone bail him out, and then it didn't matter if he would just. It's more of a sales pitchy kind of a thing. Just
Like imagine being born on third base,
right.
and in your entire life you just exploit that shit.
Yeah, just
You get some hiccups here and there, but you know what? You always start from third base. Your mentality is always going to be like, you know what? this rule doesn't belong to me. I'm always gonna find a fucking loophole.
Right. And he just talks until he changes someone's mind. It doesn't matter what point he gets to that's supposed to do that. So like if you're trying to sell a hotel, you just toss out fake numbers of how great it's going to be until someone believes you, right? So in this case, he's just tossing out numbers, and he got like there's a little factoid about kids being abused more because they're home more. So a kid who's dealing with abuse isn't leaving the house and going to school, and they're going to deal with that more often at home. And there is a problem with that, but he doesn't really understand what the problem is. He doesn't
You
understand.
can't connect to it, Chris.
Right.
You're giving him too much latitude. Let's
So-
be honest.
It just means he heard somebody say that factoid, and that's all he took from it is that sentence and nothing in connection with it and how to fix. He doesn't care about fixing. He doesn't care about helping. It's how it affects him. That's all he cares about.
That's correct.
So you hear him toss out those things like the
And
whole.
honestly, no, Chris, honestly, he's like a different breed of politician because we all grew up in the 90s and 2000s where you have politicians that will exploit stories and be like, you know what, we could pivot and say because the farmer lost his cow and we're trying to give him extra money, he's conservative. No, Trump was like, fuck that shit. It's all about me becoming president, and this is how I'm going to become a president and help this guy. It's
Right.
always about Trump first.
Yeah, the whole dead birds thing was some windmills were causing issues with migrating birds. But
And
again,
that's
he
why
doesn't.
We got to relook at windmill technology.
Well, they talked about like if you color one of the blades, it actually reduces some of that issue. It allows something with the birds to see some of it. I wouldn't try to talk about it but it's something that you've read about, and there's a fact in there, but he's not trying to use it as a way to, this is something to overcome. He just wants to use it to dismiss entirely the idea of wind power so he can make money from the oil industry execs who love him.
Exactly. Yep.
Right. All right.
And that's sad. Like you turn your entire party to your own personal political achievement. Like I don't even think George Bush Senior or Junior was even that fucking complicated.
Well, they talked about the money thing, about him having less money, and that's because they've been blowing all their cash on a whole bunch of different stuff. And Biden is just getting gobs and gobs of money coming in.
Yeah.
So that's why they have so much money, not because Trump wasn't rich. Like Trump in the midterms had more money than the Democrats, and everybody's like, oh my God, how are we going to handle him? He's got all of this cash flow. But they've mismanaged their money so bad, like spending it on trips and shit, that they don't have the cash anymore to spend in Ohio and Pennsylvania and Florida for all the ads that Biden is buying. All right, let's get everybody's take. I know we'll start with James. Like you said, you were scoring at like 9-3 or something to that effect.
I'm close.
What's
I think ultimately, Chris, I think ultimately 15 rounds, I would probably score it 12-3. I think Trump had some points that if I was an independent and as a white person of equal status, made the same amount of money as I make right now, I'd probably say Trump had a couple good points.
Wait,
but not enough to make me sway my opinion about Trump as a politician. That
Keith, do you
terrible.
have lipstick on? Wait, does Keith have lipstick on or something?
Oh, Keith's playing with filters right now.
I see that. I'm trying to ignore it. For me, like, take myself out the equation and look down. Like, Trump did very little to push the fact that he's a competent leader. He can fix the economy. He can fix COVID.
Right.
So I gotta call it like what's that boy from the Showtime boxing match? I gotta call it 53. That's what I call it. 18 rounds. That's it. Let's go.
All right, Mike, you watched. You were pretty quiet. There was a few alludes to Bernie Sanders, your preferred
Mm.
candidate. What do you say about this last debate?
Well, the only thing I'm going to say is there's people who didn't vote for Bernie because they were afraid of the socialist moniker.
Stop it. Stop.
Let me
Stop.
finish, please.
Yeah.
They were afraid of the socialist moniker that Trump was going to, and his
Wrong.
going to say, "Oh, he's a socialist. He's a socialist." They did the same thing. They're doing the same thing to Biden anyway.
Stop.
Yeah, but
Bernie didn't run against Trump.
It doesn't
Hillary did.
stick.
Hold up.
That's the
Hillary did.
difference. It doesn't stick. Like,
Hillary ran against
and it
Trump.
doesn't stick
not-
against
not
and it doesn't
Bernie.
stick against
Bernie
Biden
either.
because he has 47 years of history that says otherwise.
Also,
Yeah.
Bernie didn't run against Biden. Trump. It was Hillary.
No, what I'm saying to you is if Bernie was the nominee, that's what they would have done, right?
oh yeah, they would have pushed it absolutely.
Yeah,
But
and
But they would have
They
it would have
same
had
thing.
more traction because Bernie is a socialist.
He's a
and
yeah,
he says he's a
but you-
socialist.
He says it. Yes, yes.
Yeah,
It's a
he's
difference
socialist,
between his
Mike.
socialism.
Mike, he's socialist. Mike, drinking coffee.
No, he doesn't say he's a socialist. He's a democratic
He's
socialist.
a
You know
democratic
what that
socialist,
is.
but that doesn't make any
The
difference.
public will
Republicans,
ignore
yeah.
the whole Democratic
Exactly.
part.
Everybody on this panel knows what it means, knows what the difference is.
I
That's
know what
everyone
it
on this
is.
Right.
panel, but that's
Yeah.
a whole different story when you're talking about the populace.
Yeah, we're
Democratic
not the entire
socialists-
America.
Dude,
Here's Pete.
people don't
Not
even
America,
understand
Pete.
the different types, of like electoral theories and what you call it that we have here in the United States.
But
So it's like
you understand that
socialism,
the
like
policies that Bernie wants are majority popular policies, right?
facts.
I
Yes,
disagree.
they are.
No, he's
Hold on.
100% right.
That is
No,
correct.
I disagree with that.
The
I disagree
problem-
with that. No,
okay.
I disagree. I disagree with
The polling
policy.
says otherwise, James.
No.
policy's not.
We have a conversation about We can have a conversation about Bernie's policies versus what America really wants. We can have that conversation. And I'll tell you, it's not as what you guys think it is. It's not.
The polling
always-
says otherwise, James.
As always, the problem with polling is it depends what the poll asks. If people ask about
Exactly.
Obamacare,
Thank you, Chris.
before Obamacare passed, Obamacare had like 20s and 30% positive. But if
Yep.
they asked about the ACA, it had like 40s and 50s. Like Bernie,
Even though it's the same thing.
Like
Right.
Chris, you can ask about socialized medicine. That's
They-
one thing, but socialized financial construct.
the majority
of
of-
the conversation.
The majority of the you're talking about again you're talking high level, the whole kit and caboodle. Ask the country if they prefer if they would like free healthcare, if they feel like that's a right.
That's not all of Bernie though. That's partial Bernie.
What
What are you talking about? That's a very big
Bernie.
part.
No. So the conversation about Bernie, if you go full socialism, it ain't just about Medicare. It's about
Dude,
the
the
financial part
parts
too.
the parts
Nobody in the country who's
if you take away the socialist label, the
Mhm.
parts that he's actually representing, those individual parts poll very high. People want free healthcare. They want free schooling. They want
They want all that. I agree. Keith,
but
I
as soon
agree
as you
about that
but as
part.
soon as you
But
say the
they-
word
what they want to do, they don't want to pay for all that
right,
with the capitalist society
Well,
we live in.
well,
That's
what
the
would-
difference.
what would happen is you just say the word tax, and as soon as you say the word tax,
Hey,
the
thank you, Chris.
American
Thank
voter
you.
turns into a
Thank
little
you.
skittish
no,
kitten
Thank
you're wrong.
you.
and
You're
runs
wrong,
away and
Becky.
hides.
They
Yes.
understand.
no, it's everybody has actually stayed away from that whole like tax issue and that the tax will
You
go
can't do it. You can't say you're gonna tax American people.
up. Americans
can't
aren't
do it.
stupid.
We just
Americans
saw
aren't-
Ice
They are
Cube
stupid.
and 50 Cent come out of nowhere,
Okay,
proclaim the proclamation for a candidate because of taxes. Dude,
Right.
no matter what you want to say about medicine, healthcare, ultimately it comes to how much of your paycheck gets taken away from the government.
Okay, so where I am is electorally, like I'm in between everybody. I actually agree with Mike on the policy, but I also know that the American people, you cannot tell them you're going to tax them higher to pay for it. You have to basically implement it before you ever tell them you're going to tax them.
Well-
it's the only way it's going to pass.
That is a significant. Like it's funny. I want all those things too, and I expect a significant tax hike.
Right, exactly. I'm
I
willing to
feel-
pay for it.
I feel what hasn't been posited very well is the idea of how much you would save versus
Right.
how much your tax will go up.
Exactly right.
Absolutely.
Let
If
me
my
tell you-
taxes go up and I pay an extra $1,000 for the year for the same level of healthcare healthcare that I have right now that I'm paying $5,000 a year for, then tax me more. Excellent.
Right.
I'll take that.
Yeah, but let me tell you too. Since moving up here, my taxes have pretty much been on par with what I paid in the U.S., and I'm getting a lot more for my taxes. So-
It's really hard to explain that, and I think
Yeah.
you need a better
Okay.
spokesperson to
So,
explain
Chris
that
and Mike.
properly.
This is why I like Liz. To me,
But-
Liz was
yeah.
the better Bernie to me.
So
Like Liz was the more palatable Bernie.
But
like,
she's not as passionate, and people were basically following Bernie because of his far right. Bernie was all the way. Bernie was not.
Yeah, he
just-
all the way left, and he has a track record. People were
Right.
following Bernie because Bernie legit made the actual lane. That's
But-
why you follow Bernie. That was
Right.
his lane.
But
Honestly, I was a
people don't
Bloom-
want to
I was
just.
a Bloomberg guy, but then I was kind of like a Liz guy too.
yeah,
Because
Yeah, I was never
probably
never
I
Bloomberg.
probably paid,
Okay.
let's
but
just say I
here's the
paid
deal,
probably the
though.
most
See,
taxes.
You can see that Biden is coming aboard with a lot of these policies. Well, maybe not a lot, but he's starting that way. He's talking about the public option that could lead to universal health care. He's talking about programs to benefit the people more. He's leaning a little more left, which is good. You know,
He wasn't lying about forming a coalition.
right?
No,
wasn't
that's
lying
right.
at
Sure,
all.
Yeah.
Like
That's what-
actually, people are getting a little bit of all of their favorite all of their favorite people who ran off the joint. Like it's
Yeah.
so blatantly obvious. Even the answers that he's given.
Yeah, he's always been just middle of the road. He's not. He's
This
not
is
far
about to
left.
be president. I don't even know what
Yeah.
people are mad at. Like this is about to be president by committee.
Right.
Mhm,
like-
Basically, yeah.
I'm more interested about 2024 and
Oh, let's
Kamala.
get through 2020 first.
yeah, let's get through this year first.
Kamala.
It may not,
James.
may not
Thank
even.
you.
Kamala.
Thank
May not
you,
even be a
Brooksy.
2024.
Thank you.
But I don't
Kamala.
even think like she's not pushing far. I don't know where Trump got this. He just
Oh,
says
she
it
will.
anyway. But she's currently was not pushing far left policies either.
She
No,
wasn't.
but apparently she's more liberal than Bernie, according to Trump.
Yeah,
That-
and this is the problem that we have to like us six here because we're all like, let's just say none of us are right, but we all have different leanings, left, middle, whatever. At some point, we have a two-party system. Hear me out. We have a two-party system.
Right.
It only works with two-party system right now.
Green Party.
Republican, Democrat. Green Party will never win. So
They won't. I
you
agree.
gotta look at the next stage with after Biden gets elected. You're gonna have Kamala being the stalwart, the steward of the party
Get
because
it, Brooks.
he's next in coming.
You're
She's
on
the
mute.
vice president.
I know. Kamala. Kamala.
What did I say? I thought I said Kamala. I didn't
All
say
right.
Kamala.
Anyway,
I said- So Kamala is gonna be the fucking, excuse my language, the stalwart of the Democratic Party moving forward to 2024. She can elect AOC. She can elect whoever she wants to. Castro, the twins, whatever. The point is, if you're gonna look at the Democratic Party and a third party, you gotta look at the next levels of leadership, and it starts with Kamala and her beliefs about the Democratic Party. If you don't really agree with her 100%, then you got to figure out, okay, shit. All right, we got rid of Trump because he's fucking Hydra. Now we're down to Shield and whatever.
See, but the Democratic Party doesn't operate like how the Republican Party operates. Like so.
I
know
think
what, you know what will make a difference on the Democratic side? Public participation. People
Yeah.
participating in their electoral processes, local and federal. Like that's what makes it different on the Democratic side. It doesn't make a difference on the Republican side because they're going to play dirty regardless. But the Democrats are always going to play to their voters, the people who they can depend on to keep their jobs. I'm telling you, we can get whatever we want from any Democratic, what you call it, as long as they know that I'm 100% going to vote.
Yeah.
So here's
That's
my
what we don't do.
here's my suggestion to Kamala, and if Biden is still there in
Kamala.
4 years, I doubt it. But my suggestion is before the primaries, let's say they do win, before the primaries even start, she needs to get in a room with Bernie Sanders, AOC, the rest of the squad, sit down and go, look, we need to have a unified front. I want to know what you want so that we have a unified front. So when I walk out on that stage, I have you at my back so that we don't have this bickering shit that we've had for the last, 8 years.
The Democrats have way too many sub parties, and
Well,
that's what shoots the efforts in the foot every year.
Right
Like,
now,
you have progressives, and you're not as progressive as me. Like, how far left are you? Like,
that's what I'm saying. You can't do them all, but you can get the two main branches, which is the Obama branch and which is the Bernie branch. So you got to get those two main branches. If you can show a unified front.
But
that's the same brand.
Chris, we're
That's the
reaching a
same
level.
brand.
Hold on, Keith and Chris. We're reaching a level where we have a young, like talking to Serena, 17 years old. There's a whole new populace of quote unquote Democrats that don't believe in either. They respect Obama because of what
That's
he's
the AOC.
established,
That's AOC.
but they don't respect AOC either. Like, I'm listening to these young kids. They don't.
Yeah, but
respect
those
her
aren't
either.
dependable voters. I hate to say it. Those are not dependable voters.
But they will be.
You are
can't
not
say
going to
that.
push.
You can't say it. You sound like
You're
a
not going
boomer.
to push the party with those people.
No, you
with
can't say
teenagers.
that. You
I can see
cannot
that
say
because-
that they're
Nah,
not
but-
dependable.
No, but that's the
cannot say that.
facts, James. Like, it has nothing to do with age. Facts say the youngest parts of the party are the least dependable. That's Republican or
that's
Democrat.
what got Obama
Period.
in 2008.
No, it wasn't.
Hold on.
No, it wasn't.
2008.
No,
the
it
Young
wasn't.
Vote came out in 2008.
Dude,
Yeah,
no,
like-
it wasn't.
like
2012,
16%.
2008. Hold on. Let's look at 2008. 2008. The Young Vote carried Obama.
It carried Obama. Let's see
Yes.
those percentages. The young vote was up, but it wasn't nothing that it wasn't carried. Any president is carried by the old vote, my dude. That's every president that comes through gets carried by the old vote, not the young vote. Old people are the most religious.
Yes, except for 2008, where 18% of the votes came from young voters, unprecedented ever in history. I'm looking at the Washington Post.
80% of what?
18%.
18%
Yes.
of the voting bloc.
Okay. So what's the 60+%? What's the 60 year olds plus? What's the percentage of those?
That was the rest of America.
What? No, what you mean? That's the rest of America. America ain't just like 18 years old
18% is
and
the
60
young
years old.
voters who are under, hold on,
Under 25, probably.
they're under 29.
Under
Oh, come
29.
on. 29 years old, like, yeah, like I've already voted
Actually,
twice.
24%. Here's the number: 24% of 29-year-olds and younger. Unprecedented to this day, still a record. Shit.
29
This
years
day-
old is not a
Dude,
young
I'm gonna give
person.
you a screenshot of this shit. It's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, but I'm not talking
20,
talking
I'm talking
30
8,
year olds.
yeah, I'm
30
talking
year
about
olds have
18.
jobs and
I'm
shit.
talking to 18 to 24.
But the point is, we don't have a candidate. that can
29
relate-
years old, you done with
that can
college,
relate to
all
the
kind of stuff.
The point I'm trying to make is we don't have a candidate right now that can relate to like from the 18 to
AOC's over on
29-year-olds.
AOC's over on Twitch right now trying to get
Yes,
votes
I saw
out.
that. She was number 2 ever on Twitch. I saw
Right.
that.
Number
She
one.
is that side of she's as close to that side of the party as they're ever going to get without getting a literal teenager to come on with them.
What's Twitch?
Right.
And until
Live
teenagers-
streaming for
Here's
video
Peak
games.
Podcast is gonna be on Twitch soon, bro.
And-
That's what Twitch is.
and
live
until
streaming for video
teenagers start
games.
running for
Not just for video games anymore.
seats, it's not gonna happen.
It's mostly
like-
for video
We're on
games.
Twitch right now, Brooks. You're live. Welcome to Twitch.
So
okay,
yeah,
go on, Chris. Yeah.
I'm not saying young people aren't something you can talk to, but I'm saying they are not driving the party. And what I don't want is just 60-year-olds driving the party. What we need is to combine those two. And that's why I was saying Kamala Harris has the option, has the ability to do that. Right now, Biden kind of is not doing that. And I think that's a problem for future. Right now, he's just pulling all the anti-Trump voters, which is fine. That's going to work. Okay? But we need for future, we need a different, more turnout from the farther left, from younger voters.
You know, we talking about turnout. You know what brings out? You know what brings turnout? Results. What they need is results. Like,
yeah, no, I
get
agree.
results on their promises. Like, do the job. Like, you'll get your turnout.
But also, what happens is, and Biden didn't get to give the answer, was what prevented him from passing the legislation that he kept talking about, and that is
Republican
McConnell.
control. So great question, Chris. So let's just say we win the presidency. Kamala and Biden wins.
Kamala.
Kamala, James.
Kamala. But we don't win the Senate.
We're screwed.
We're
We're
right
not going
back
to get
to
anything done.
We're right
Yeah.
the same zero. So
Yeah,
a couple
that's-
years, same arguments. We couldn't pass LGBTQ rules, healthcare, all this stuff. And you're gonna guess what we're gonna blame? Can't blame on Trump anymore. He's out. Gotta blame.
Well, what you have to do is
Biden.
what you have to do is what Trump started to do, which was just executive order out the just like
Yeah.
constant executive
Yeah,
order.
but Democrats don't operate that way.
You
Yes.
got it. It's just all your
Barack had to. What are you
Yeah.
talking about? Barack had to. That's what the Republicans were mad at. They were mad at him, like all his executive orders.
Executive orders. Yeah, you're right.
But they wouldn't cooperate with anything.
All right, Keith, give me your final. We're really running through here. Give me your final take on what you saw
somebody
tonight.
shutting us down?
I really
I have to work tomorrow.
yeah, it's late. The I thought it was alright. It's definitely better. It was more debate like than the first debate. Like, I give it that. I didn't get the feeling of like any of the whole mics being off for the 2 minutes because it seems like they were still kind of interrupting.
A little
Like,
bit at the end. Yeah.
yes, at the end it got definitely a lot touchier. The moderator, to me, I thought she started all right, but she was really trash. I like the fact, and I wonder what will come of this. I can't wait to see the Twitterverse and the interwebs tomorrow. But like Joe says the crime bill was wrong, and it was
He finally admits to that.
and it was a
He didn't do it in
mistake.
the primaries.
And it was a mistake. And he said it several times during the like I even like the portion of the debate where it's kind of like towards the end and like I feel like that the last ending portion of the debate was a very large racial like attack, like race as a subject portion, and I think I actually like how Biden came across on that. He didn't come off like he was like some old white dude preachy about the situation or this, that, and the other, or try to explain why he like some black leaders wanted the legislation as well. They like
But I
no,
said
it's
that.
wrong. He's like it was wrong. It was wrong and it was a mistake. And I dig that, like, because that's really like you can't explain nothing. Nobody thought, even the black people who were behind it, nobody thought that the outcome was going to be what happened. Because if they did, there'd be more discussion on the front end. So like nobody knew that all these black men were going to end up in jail. Nobody knew that, or it was going to be used as a tool for that. So like to say that it was all Biden is kind of disingenuous, but he can't say that. And I like that he said it was a mistake.
Yeah.
Agreed.
All right, Brooks. Outside of saying Kamala, you need to give us a little bit more.
Kamala.
Kamala.
Come on. Let's go.
I just want you to get her name right. That's all.
HU. Shout out to Howard University, to Harris Peak, Keith over here, and possibly future Hero Peak, Serena, possibly.
Yes, my niece, definitely.
Serena is going to UCLA with me out here in LA. Thank you.
She could go to UCLA for a spring break.
Right. No. First. Anyways, my biggest takeaway out of this debate is that America's fucked either way. It doesn't matter. I don't even know how to call it. Like it's just all bad.
Wow. So
Um,
positive.
Yeah, it was horrible. Also, like anytime any white person says I'm the least racist person, they're usually like
The
the
most
most racist
Racist
person.
person.
Yeah, that's the equivalent of like I'm not racist. I have a black friend. Like,
I don't see race.
I don't see
right?
race.
That's the worst.
Like that's right, because you're a racist.
Yeah, that's the worst of it all. And the thing that concerned me the most, I actually also I thought it was really big that Biden did say like the 94 crime bill was a mistake. That is huge to me. But to everybody else's point, it's not like it was only his bill. Like I think Hillary Clinton worked on it at one point. But anyways, it wasn't only Biden's bill. So like I don't know why he keeps taking the L for that.
Because
You
he
know,
has to.
as-
Because he's the
He
winner.
has
That's
to.
yeah.
Because like it's, and I
But
respect
because
that.
he
Like, I
used to tout
respect
that as one of his achievements as senator when he was running for president years ago.
I respect him not spinning off on the number of people that he could, like, because they keep saying
That's
he
true.
authored it. Like he did not author that by himself.
He didn't
Like,
author it.
it wasn't pushed. The fact that it was even written was because the black church and the black community leaders was calling for it because of all of the crack violence that was going on.
Right.
So it wasn't like he has a litany of things he can say as the reason why it came out, and then like the effects weren't properly researched because of like the system, the
Right.
systemic
Dude, that
that
reminds
was
me of
built in the
Bloomberg.
system.
That reminds me of Bloomberg.
Mhm.
But
But he
also
couldn't do
the
all
other
that. He couldn't say all that.
that no, and the other thing is like I hate the fact that every time we're like what like the whole sorry, my dog is biting my feet right now. What the whole like Black Lives Matter or whatever the question was at the end, I can't remember it now. It's like I don't understand why in a presidential debate, whenever we're talking about black people, like it immediately goes to crime. That like bothers me so much that that's exactly where the conversation goes. But whatever.
It's yeah.
You know, like there's so many other things to talk about. I also really liked Biden when he was like old Abraham Lincoln over here. Like that was the hands down like the funniest moment
That,
of any
that was the
debate
best.
ever. Yeah.
Old Abraham Lincoln over here.
Like, that was the best thing. But I think at the very end when Joe started talking about oil, I don't think he made his point very well. And I think Trump was able to capitalize on that. And so I think there may be some voters that were swayed about like, oh, wait a minute, he's taking our jobs, like not understanding or knowing the facts or what's happening. It's like, oh, wait, he's taking our jobs. Okay, I'm going to have to vote for Trump now.
If anyone was really swayed by that little like, because I feel what you're saying too on that. Like it was a little bit weak his response on the oil thing. But if anybody was really kind of swayed, if that was somebody's swaying point, they were looking for a reason to vote for Trump. Like that.
That's fair.
They were
Yeah.
looking for a reason
Yeah,
because that to me like.
So I'll say overall for me, Biden is just not a great debater, but he's got facts on his side, and he has some numbers memorized, and he's got a good heart, and he talks to the camera and the whole thing. So he's got that. But unfortunately, against someone like Trump, who's just gonna spew shit, he's gonna find the one thing that pushes your button and just hit it. The only way to really debate Trump on something like that, where he's going to go fracking until you answer the question, is to hit back. And so Biden just ends up looking like, no, I'm not getting rid of fracking. I'm for fracking, which
No, he explained that too. Like, and I dig
he
that.
does. No,
I
he
dig
does.
that. It wasn't very. I like that he didn't just do the whole like, oh no, I'm for fracking. He was like, no, I'm for safe, blah 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 blah, and like I think that like it can go for a while. Like he definitely didn't make it sound like, oh, like no, I'm not just totally flipping my position. I
Right.
know it's going to take a while to go away. Like it's not.
But
Yeah,
I don't think that's how it came across.
Yeah, it's
Unfortunately.
always just like Biden doesn't feel like the only aggressiveness I felt from Biden was about the
Corona.
border when he was talking about the kids, the kids taken away from their parents and the parents being
Really? I thought
deported.
that he wasn't as forceful as he needed to be on that one.
I felt like his facial expressions and everything felt a little more forceful in that section.
Hmm.
But I mean, just overall, I do give it to Biden because I know watching Trump, he's just dropping crap and saying stuff, hoping it'll stick. And you can tell that when he starts fighting with the moderator. But I agree with you, Keith. The moderator did not stick to anything. She didn't push anything.
Yeah.
She didn't say, look, no, you've had your chance to answer. You didn't answer my question. I'm moving on.
The only one she stuck to her guns with one time was Biden.
And that's because he wasn't going to fight either. It wasn't. None of these debates have really successfully been. You have to push back. You have to have the ability to turn off mics, and you have to be able to push. But I don't know. I'm glad they're done.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I'll
They
be
didn't even
interested.
need 3.
No,
3 would have been a way
Yeah.
overkill.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what the first debate in like a Biden Cash or Kamala Cruz or whatever the hell it is in 2024. I can't wait to see what that looks like because I'll be interested to see if anybody takes on any of this weird aggressive lying, like if they think that's a winning strategy or if
Weird aggressive lying.
like
That's as a strategy.
Right.
That's,
I'm hoping that gets kicked out of the system.
if he loses, it definitely does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
It
hope
worked
so.
for him one time, though. It
No,
worked
it worked
for him
for
to
him
become
once,
president.
but like again, like if that same person uses the same thing to the nth degree the second time and it doesn't work, I'm not coming in and using it now. Like I'm thinking like, oh, people are onto it. Like I'm not gonna. Who's gonna use? It's not successful.
Right now, there's an entire news network who's using it.
Yeah, for profit, because
Mhm.
people are stupid. You think they believe that stuff? Yeah, they can promote "Don't wear mask" all they want to promote it because Trump is doing it. But you think that the head of that network's not walking around with a mask? Fuck you.
All right, guys, it is 11:15. I have to get up
we
at
lost
5
James.
5:30 in the morning.
All right.
I think
I gotta go feed my dog dinner.
Yeah.
I think we had a good debate, a good post debate.
Mm-hmm.
Post debate.
Well, thank you for joining me. We'll do more of this.
Don't forget, we're gonna do some live coverage for election night.
That's gonna be exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, are we?
Yep.
Yeah, we don't have to sit in one spot though. I think we can get up and move around because I don't know how exciting it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they'll call states. I don't know if some states are actually counting. Are they counting ballots already, or what?
I think
feel
some
like-
states can, and some states have to wait till the 3rd.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
wait. Is that a state?
Yeah, it's by state basis. Yeah.
Whew, we'll see.
Have you guys already voted?
Oh yeah.
No.
I mean, I'm voting on election day.
Yeah, I'm voting on election day, but numbers are already way up.
Yeah, those early voting numbers are up.
Have you voted?
There's James, just in time to say
Yo.
goodbye.
Somebody freaking
Mike.
stuck on my Wi-Fi hub over here. The son of a
Mike, can
gun.
you Do you vote? Can you vote for?
I'm voting in
Our
person, by the
election?
way. I'm gonna.
I
vote
literally
in
was not
person,
talking to
and
you
I'm
at
gonna
all.
vote.
Take
So
Eric
mean,
with you.
sorry. Mike,
Eric,
can
you're
you
going.
are you registered to vote in America?
Yes.
Okay, good. Just
Do you
making
also
sure. We
vote?
need all the
You don't
voters we
lose-
can get.
You don't
You
lose your
also
ability to
vote in
vote when you
Canada?
move.
No,
You
he's still an
Canada?
American citizen.
You don't
So
lose. Yeah,
Eric's
you
coming
don't
with
lose your
me when I'm
right to vote
voting in
once
Jersey.
as you move.
I don't know how that works though.
Yeah, you don't give up your citizenship. you know?
Yeah, once you're a citizen, you can vote.
True. Right. That makes sense. Okay. So you absentee vote, obviously.
Right. Yeah. It's just
Like
mail-
military
Alright.
people vote from
That's
all
nice.
over the world.
You're right. You're right. I'm a stupid American. My bad. I'll just put myself on
A
mute.
lot of people don't know though, so it's
No,
understandable.
it's good.
He's
to
like,
know.
where's that self-mute button?
Ah,
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Join us on the third.
email us where, Mike? Tell them.
What?
Tell them where you're gonna email us.
Oh, if you want to email us, you can email us at info@heroespeak.com. But hit us up on social media. Everything at HeroesPeak, Facebook, Twitter, Insta.
Yeah, thanks for everybody who was live chatting with us at the on YouTube.
Thank you, Tom. Talk to you later.
Subscribe.
All
Right.
right, everyone. Good
All
night.
right, good night, everybody. Good luck, America.
Good luck.
Counting on you.
Do the right thing, America.
Yeah,
Right
vote,
thing.
vote, vote, vote.
Yeah, like Spike said, do the right thing.